Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 51. I am your host. With me, as always, my co-host and teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
Yo.
Welcome back. We're almost pushing up on a year of doing this podcast, so
Right.
I think we're trying to plan a little something for people, right? I don't want to say too much, but
Can maybe mention it later.
yeah, we can talk about it a bit later, possibly. So if you're a new listener, welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. We really appreciate any time you can spend with us. If you would like to contact either of us, fnswrestling@gmail.com or fns_wrestling_podcast on Instagram. Yep. Or if you're one of the very few that listens on YouTube, you can leave a comment in YouTube and we'll definitely reply to you, probably give you a shout out on an episode.
That'll give you a quick response.
Absolutely. I respond very quickly to everybody, pretty much. I don't know what is new this week, really. Some restrictions lifted in our area. We're in Southern Ontario, so
Malls are open, that's fun.
Malls are open, but we have to wait in line for everything.
Unless it's a stupid outlet mall.
I think it's like 25% capacity, but there's talk of step 3 coming a bit earlier than it was supposed to, and that would mean even more restrictions lifted, so I think higher percentage of occupancy in places. Some indoor sports can start to happen. Your brother can maybe get his basketball league actually started. I think it would be up to 25 people indoors for social gatherings, which is a huge difference for us, right? So anyways, things look like they're improving. We're having a couple people over for a barbecue today to stay out, hang out outside. So that'll be nice. I don't know. Anything exciting in your life this week? You had kind of a birthday thing you went to with a friend or two?
Yeah.
And you got him a gift and he already had it? So now
so just give him money and stuff.
You get to absorb the gift?
Yeah. It's actually on the shelf.
It's now on our shelf, which at some point we might get some video going. You can see our little setup here. So he's added a Marvel Legends. Who is that? It's a Thor one?
Yeah, it's got Korg. He's a rock guy. I think he's played by the director of the movie. And then Grandmaster's played by Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
He's famous.
Yeah.
From long ago. So that's cool. You got to absorb some figures because your buddy already had them. So how lucky for you.
It was lucky because I got a picture of. He sent me a picture of his figures like 2 days before.
Right. And you're like, oh, crap, he has that.
But, I mean, I guess that's luck, as at least I got, like, I was able to figure that out.
Partly coronavirus to blame because you haven't been in his house forever, right? Like, if it were normal times, you probably would have been in his house and seen what he has, but you're kind of going blind off of not really knowing, so... Yeah, I don't know what else to talk about, really.
I got a Lego Thor.
And you got a Lego Thor, that's right. Oh, because you had to go get some new clothes. You're growing like a weed, so the clothes you just got, you completely outgrew and had to go get some more. But
that was so fun.
I know, shopping's not... You're like me, I shop... Like, I'll go shopping with your mother, but I don't actually shop for me. I just snack and drink coffee, which is why...
Or if I want to shop, I want to shop for stuff I want to shop for, not...
Yeah, specifically.
shorts.
Whereas mom wants to wander around and go in. And normally I don't care, but that's one of my problems with Corona is wearing a mask. I can't just freely snack and drink coffee all over the place. So it lowers my interest in going out shopping.
That's true.
I'm about once a year where I am in the right mood to like buy clothes and stuff, so your mother has to like strike right then and go, let's get everything that you could possibly need.
Well, my birthday's at the end of the month, so we'll be making a mall trip whether you like it or not.
Yeah, so looking for figure hunts, I imagine, and Lego hunt and whatever else.
I also know that it's almost a year because I remember we started I remember the template that you wrote. It's like it still says here in the host banter, it's talk briefly about non-wrestling stuff, probably birthday talk this week.
You're still using original? You just
because I don't have any notes in the banter, so I just I left what you put in the template. So
we started just before your 13th birthday, right? So we're coming up on 14. Going to be entering high school, which is crazy.
Yay.
Which is going to be a lot of fun, I hope.
Not even the COVID one. I just have to get the...
Oh,
I don't even know what it is. But...
Yeah, you haven't had your second COVID shot yet. We're sort of holding off for a little bit to see what's what with that.
Because it's smelly.
Well, I mean, it'd be great, but they're just reinvestigating things, I think, with it to make sure it's safe. I'm sure it is, but... You
just kind of I remember one night you kind of chills.
Oh my god, I was freezing. Which are
and then it really affected mom, but you weren't.
And talking to our nurse friend who was over yesterday, the day before, she was saying that those chills I was getting, that's a fever, and that's one of the symptoms of getting the vaccine, right? Yeah, I was just sitting on the couch shivering for I don't know, like an
I think
hour
it
and
was
a
when
half
we were
or
watching
so.
AEW. The one I think
I had the fire on, 2 blankets on, and I was freezing cold. But other than that, I mean, it's still worth it to be able to get back to a little bit of normal. I don't know. What do you think? Should we talk about some wrestling, maybe? Probably. I mean, we tend to do that sometimes. So let's do that. Our first segment is going to be news and rumors. All right. So for ratings, it's so nice to have everyone back on their proper night so I can get the ratings and not have
really
to
good week
chase
too,
them around. Yeah, it was a pretty strong week of TV, as you'll hear from us when we start talking about it. So Tuesday's live Great American Bash edition of WWE NXT drew 654,000 viewers on the USA Network, which is up 2.8% from last week, earned a 0.18 in the 18 to 49 demographic that they care about so much. That's up 38.5%.
The coded demo.
So that's a big increase there. And just to sort of further praise them, I guess, they were facing competition from the NBA Finals on Tuesday night.
NXT.
Okay. So these numbers, and they're still up from the previous week, that seems pretty good to me because NBA Finals, that's pretty major competition. Now, it would be even greater if it was like the Lakers or something in, because these are kind of smaller market teams that don't have as huge a following. But nonetheless,
right.
NBA fans would be watching it, right?
They're not necessarily concerned with details.
No, if like me, I don't care who's in the finals. I'll just watch it, right? But some people, if it was the Lakers, there'd be tons more. But anyways, Wednesday's live Road Rager edition of Dynamite drew 871,000 viewers on TNT, so down like a tiny bit from last week, 1.4% to be precise. They got a 0.33 in the key demographic, which is down 5.7. So they were up against the Stanley Cup Finals, which probably would affect their numbers in Canada somewhat, but maybe not so much in the United States because we're a bit hockey obsessed up here, right? So, there was a Canadian team in the finals, so
yeah, everyone's like, I remember people were talking about. I think it was when I was online school or whatever. They're like something blah 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 Montreal Canadiens or something. Yes. I'm like, okay.
And I am a humongous sports fan, but I do not, and a Canadian, obviously, but I do not follow hockey.
Enjoy hockey.
I used to follow hockey, and then it just, I really love basketball, and now that basketball is constantly available, right?
I take displeasure from watching hockey.
Back when I was at the mercy of network TV and could only watch what they were putting out, but now that I have a million channels and I can find
streaming
basketball.
Services.
Right, so I don't need to watch hockey. I'm not saying I dislike it, it's just not.
Hockey, I don't like sports, but hockey would be one of the last ones I would watch.
It's actually really fun to go watch live because it's incredibly fast and stuff, but I wasn't raised as a hockey person, so I know that's sort of sacrilege to say as a Canadian person, but oh well, exactly. So NXT was up a little bit, AEW was down a little bit, but AEW still did better overall in both categories.
That seems to be the thing.
Right? Like no matter what,
NXT
Dynamite does a bit better.
Right, NXT, they did better this week. Oh, AEW still did better.
Yes, that seems to be every week is me going, but in the end, AEW still does better overall.
Right.
Anything from you?
It's like win and loss
kind
of coupled
yes.
in
They
one.
could, like, NXT may improve a little bit, but they're still not beating AEW at this point.
So I didn't have this plan, but I was just looking on a website, and so just the card for Raw.
Yeah.
It does look like, I don't know how good it'll actually be, but it looks like they at least have a bunch of stuff planned. So they got Lashley versus Woods, and so they faced off in Hell in a Cell on Raw a couple weeks ago. And then they had like a tag match with MVP and Kingston respectively, and this match was planned for that week, but
it's nice to see them.
It's happening here instead.
Different matchups because honestly, I listen to like recap shows and it's like these are the same feuds that have been going on.
Right,
like
since Rollins and Cesaro
Mania.
just happened on SmackDown,
and then it's like Zayn and Owens, right? Still, I think going and Charlotte and Rhea Ripley still going, right? So to hear that you're saying there's some fresh matchups coming is nice to hear.
Yeah, so we got a fatal 4-way with the Money in the Bank participants because they got an upcoming big match. How can they not just face off in a...
Exactly.
Which is Alexa Bliss, Naomi, Nikki Cross, now Nikki Ash, I guess.
Making room for Carrion.
They're still kind of calling her Nikki Cross, I think, so I'm not sure if when the...
switch happens,
right.
Or if it does.
And then also Asuka, fatal 4-way match. Then we got Humberto Carrillo. Yeah, he's still here. Versus Sheamus for the U.S. title. That could not be more low key.
Yes.
It's Humberto Carrillo and it's on Raw.
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like it they need to put the mid-card titles on the pay-per-view. And, like, what's Apollo Crews been doing?
Or give somebody a title shot when they clearly have earned one. Like, why is Carrillo getting...
Because he's been feuding with Sheamus.
Right.
So, I guess. Like,
but before that, nothing.
I honestly can't think of anything Apollo's done since...
Wrestling Big E 17 times in a row?
Since wrestling Big E 17 times, yes.
Yeah.
Then we got, since they're facing off in a tag title match next week, of course, AJ Styles and Omos and the Viking Raiders have to pair off in singles matches.
Of course they do. What else are you going to do?
Eric versus Omos and Ivar and AJ. Because I guess it's too obvious to go, like, Ivar versus Omos.
Big man right away, I guess.
Right.
So what's... the Viking, what are they called?
Viking Raiders.
What's their gimmick thing right now? Like, are they comedy? Are they serious? I honestly don't know. I saw him eating a turkey leg, the one segment
It's probably like similar because they're babyface and like they're just...
there's actually, I'm going to make a note when we're talking about maybe what we're going to do as a bonus episode. That might be something I need to make a note of. I won't say any more, but Viking Raiders might be on my list of things we were talking about. You know what I mean?
And then John Morris and Ricochet have been kind of going at it.
Right.
And so they're going in a Falls Count Anywhere match.
I did hear that somewhere.
And I remember there's the spot with Ricochet. He did like the crossbody.
Yes, over the barricade. Yep.
And so they've been having matches. It's like kind of like a mini feud or whatever, building up to Money in the Bank.
Cool.
So...
I mean, they probably have a good match, right? So
yeah, and Ricochet's the next guy to wear street attire, and it's just really annoying because like he's got some cool ring attires that he just looks like an idiot.
Yeah, it's not everyone's going with the jeans these days, sort of thing.
Yeah, I remember when Cesaro was doing that last year for some reason.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just weird.
It is a bit strange. Just put on wrestling gear. It's not hard.
Yeah. Andrade.
On less uplifting news, good old Jimmy Uso arrested again.
Another DUI.
For DUI, driving in Florida, this might not mean much to you, with a blood alcohol content of 0.205. So the legal limit where we live, well, I think there is 0.08. So you cannot drive beyond 0.08. He's at 0.2. So that is like exceedingly over the limit. Fourth time charged since 2011. I think,
isn't it like the second one in like a few years or whatever?
Yes, I think only 3 of them have stuck. One of them, I think the charges were dropped at one point. One of them also was...
I know there was 3.
Was him like squaring up to the officer apparently and like almost getting to the point where he needed to be restrained sort of thing. But anyways...
He seems to... I was saying, I don't know if we mentioned it last week, but he's the Jeff Hardy of the Usos.
Yes, he gets a million chances, right?
In this aspect,
yes.
Because this is something that Jeff Hardy would have done and maybe has done. I don't know.
So for me, it's kind of frustrating because they have their wellness policy and a third strike and you're fired, right? Where that to me is less serious than this because this behavior is putting...
Did they even,
Have they actually enforced that? I don't know.
Or, because isn't the wellness policy, they do tests, wellness tests? So, maybe they have to do a wellness test on him for it to,
But for me, this is, you're doing something that's putting members of society in general at risk, right? You taking steroids or whatever is affecting you. So yes, it's stupid, but it's not going to affect my life. You repeatedly driving while intoxicated.
Right, it's a whole different thing.
When you are a wealthy person who can hire a driver, who can call a cab, who can use Uber or Lyft or whatever all of those things are. Or you have a
brother. He has a brother.
I find this behavior despicable that it's still happening and that I'm not saying they're tolerating it in WWE, but they certainly don't seem to be punishing him at all. They still haven't really said anything about it. I also just want to say I've been sort of disgusted. I've heard other places talking about this, and the way they talk about it, you would think that Uso is some sort of victim. So these are the places that at times try to get WWE stars as guests and things, so they really don't want to say much negative. But they basically talk about this guy and his multiple DUIs like it's Tegan Knox coming back from 3 torn ACLs, right? Like, oh, we really hope he recovers and gets the help he needs. Well, yes, that's great. He clearly has some sort of problem, and he hope he does recover and get help. But stop driving drunk and risking people's lives. You have the money to have a driver. There's no excuse for this. I can't believe the way it's been talked about on a couple other outlets. Like, oh, it's almost like he's some sort of victim, and that they just hope that he gets the help he needs and recovers. Okay, I'm kind of beyond that after the 4th time this happens. But anyways, that's just me. So I don't know, WWE, deal with it, is what I'd be saying.
Yeah, it's an issue.
Right? You're risking, this is a public safety concern. This isn't you're putting something bad in your own body. This is you're a menace, basically, on the roads. Sorry. Yeah. I got fired up there.
No,
it's a hot button of mine.
It is an issue, right?
Yes. So. Next one, what do you got?
So Bayley has suffered a torn ACL for 9 months.
Oof.
Belair's now instead defending against Carmella on SmackDown instead of against Bayley at Money in the Bank. So talk about a downgrade.
So there's no title match for the women's on Money in the Bank then?
No, not the SmackDown one at least.
So I mean, that's good news for us because we don't then have to watch Carmella. Not that even Carmella's really bad, but
she's just not good
compared to a lot of women's wrestling right now. I don't find her that. I know there's a lot of places, again, some of these same places that I think hope for guests and things are to think that she's fantastic in the ring. I don't think she's bad anymore in the ring, but I don't think she's good.
Speaking of people who people think are fantastic and they're not.
I know where you're going.
Liv Morgan is replacing Carmella in the Money in the Bank match, and so I'm not sure if Bayley's injury is real or they're playing off it really well.
Right.
Because they've been running the storyline for a bit where so Carmella was put into the Money in the Bank match, I think, by Sonya Deville, and Liv Morgan beat her, but didn't get added.
Yep.
And so that might be a thing. I really hope she doesn't win Money in the Bank because I don't think she's ready. I don't think she's that good yet.
I don't think she's been ready in the past, to be honest. I haven't seen her recently at all, so maybe I know she has a reputation for being a super hard worker, so maybe she's getting really good.
All, but it's all good if she works hard and whatnot, and if she's improved, but she has a lot. I think she still has a bunch to improve on. What's her character at all?
That is very true.
And
I think
she's decent in the ring, and people just think she's so good and she needs a push, which I mean, I guess that's better than thinking Shotzi Blackheart's good, but I just don't think she's as good as people are saying. She's not necessarily bad, and sure, she probably looks good compared to Carmella or Tamina, but she's not Bayley.
I would love that if we see her and we're like, wow, she is really good now, right? That would be cool. So yeah. I hope that maybe they are right.
But just from what I have seen,
But character-wise, I don't know what's going on with her at all.
Character-wise, and just in-ring, what I've seen from even at least WrestleMania,
wasn't great.
Which was recent.
I don't
remember in the Turmoil match.
Oh,
remember
yes.
That was not good.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I don't think she's. It's just one of those things that just people think she's so good, and it's just no.
Yeah, hopefully she is. Maybe she'll surprise us. I mean, obviously we would love for somebody to be good.
I could probably guarantee that the same people who think Liv Morgan's good are the same people who think Toni Storm's good. So
yeah, I think. I don't know. I used to think Toni Storm was good. It's just this NXT run I haven't seen much out of her.
No, I remember I didn't dislike her as much as I do nowadays, but I remember she was just oh my god, Toni Storm, she was just so overrated, and I was just eh.
Well, away she goes.
I remember
probably,
she was just she got a vignette on SmackDown.
So it looks like they are just raiding the.
I said
I
think I commented on one WWE's post. It's like they're doing a trash dump of NXT.
They're just
they got rid of Shotzi and Toni Storm.
Yep.
And next up, please take Karrion Kross.
I think they might.
I hope they do. I'm literally gonna be so happy. I will watch the draft literally just to see Kross get out of NXT.
Get drafted somewhere without Scarlett as a normal dude.
Oh my god!
Just as a regular guy.
They just give him the loser entrance. They gave him on a main event.
Right, just your general generic
Any
entrance.
NXT fan who hasn't seen his main event entrance, go watch that. It's really funny.
Very underwhelming, for sure.
It's really funny.
I only have one more piece of news, and it's Matt Riddle, your boy. Actually,
is it the Seth Rollins heat?
Yeah.
I was just reading that, actually.
Yeah, so
as you were talking about the DUI.
There have been past issues between... I don't know if between him and Seth Rollins. Basically,
I saw it.
So Matt Riddle's wife posted something on one of Becky Lynch's photos, basically saying that more women in WWE need to do squats. Anyways, it seems kind of ridiculous, but so there seems to be this residual sort of heat between the two from this. So Riddle commented on it, and it made me kind of laugh because it sounds very much like Riddle, right? Very on brand for him. He's basically here's the quotes. I'll be honest, I've met Seth multiple times, and he's met me, and I don't think we'll ever be best friends. And then he laughs. I don't think we like one another. We're just two different people, although we both love wrestling. I know my significant other said something about Becky and they don't like, and I also did not agree with. So right there, he's saying he didn't even agree with what his wife said, which I think is cool of him to say.
Yeah, and I read like then I'm sure you'll get to it, but like what he said to Seth, I thought that was cool.
Seth didn't like me after that, and I don't think Becky liked me or my wife either, which is understandable. It is what it is. So I kind of like his attitude here, that it's like, they don't like me, that's okay, right? Like, he's not dwelling on it, he's not upset, he's not insulting them. He's like, I didn't like what my wife said either. They don't like me, that's okay, right? Like, not everybody, especially in a place of work, likes each other. As long as if they get in the ring together, they can be professionals and work. They don't have to like each other.
A Riddle Rollins match would be bomb.
So I just kind of like his ideas. His thing is like, yep, they don't like me, but that's okay.
Yeah, and so I've got like the thing.
Nice.
I remember you talked to him after Survivor Series,
yes.
He said. And so he basically just like kind of apologized on her behalf and just like kind of smoothed it over,
right.
And then it was kind of good from which I think it was really cool.
So if Riddle made the attempt, right, and then if Rollins isn't accepting
I think
of
Rollins he did.
But even if he's not, like Riddle's like, okay, that's fine, I tried, right? I was a grown up.
I think they're like he said like they're good enough to be working together, but he doesn't really think they're friends. But like. Yeah, so that's cool.
You can have tons of people you're going to work with in life you don't like, or you would never hang out with outside of work. You just got to work with them, right? So Riddle, it just seems like him, right? He's just kind of like, whatever, bro. Like, you don't like me, it's cool.
Yeah,
and that's
Riddle seems good.
Fair way to be. Anything else from you? I'm tapped out for news.
Updated Money in the Bank card. Yippee!
Oh right, I did see that. So tell me about it.
So the men's Money in the Bank ladder match lineup was finalized
with
the last two qualifications. So it'll be Ricochet versus Riddle versus Morrison versus McIntyre versus Big E versus Owens versus Rollins versus King Nakamura.
As long as McIntyre doesn't win, because that's just the stalest thing ever.
That's a really good lineup.
I agree.
Actually, I really like that.
Me too, because it's not people that you would expect generally.
Right, and I think you've got a couple of good winner choices, like Nakamura and Riddle. I think would be great choices.
I think Riddle's probably my front runner.
Even Big E.
Yep, I agree with that too.
I think that's a good choice. So I think that's actually like a really good lineup. I think last year's is meh.
There's rumors of Big E switching brands, so that would be
an easy
reason for him to do it, right?
And I've heard like that I think they should do a Big E Lashley match. I think that'd be really good.
I do too.
So that's a really good lineup.
I agree. If McIntyre wins, I'll be furious. But anything else, I'm
even
cool
with. Even like Morrison and McIntyre, they obviously shouldn't win, but they're like from an in-ring standpoint, that's a good.
Yep.
They're good inclusions.
That's a good group.
You got to have people who like they're not winning, but they'll add to the match.
Yeah. So you want people that can do cool stuff.
John Morrison's bananas.
Considering the type of match it is, right?
John Morrison's one of those bananas people.
He is. Well, he can do his parkour stuff and all of his crazy athletic stuff he does.
So the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, it'll be Asuka, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Ash, Liv Morgan, Zelina Vega, and 2 TBA superstars from SmackDown.
Sonya Deville.
Okay. I'd be cool with that.
I heard something about, I don't know who was talking about it, that the idea is that she's putting the crappiest people in possible so that she can just win. She did
put in Liv Morgan.
Well, and then her plan is like,
and Carmella.
Then I enter, and I've put a really weak field for myself to beat.
I mean, so Liv Morgan, and Zelina Vega is like,
but not
more
Asuka.
Manager.
Zelina Vega never wins anything.
Oh wait, no, she's on both rosters. Well, I don't know. She seems to be more on SmackDown, so maybe it's out of her control. But I'm not sure.
That was just somebody's.
That's kind of. That would explain why she added Carmella.
I don't think they would
Carmella's
ever.
as weak as they come.
I don't think they would ever do it because that's them saying, like Deville saying, this one sucks and this one's. You know what I mean? It's not great for them.
Yeah, but I mean, then again, they're the same company bearing Karrion Kross on a weekly basis.
They are.
Which I'm not opposed to.
The women's lineup doesn't intrigue me as much as the men's one.
No, I think
would
the
have
men's
to say.
lineup's pretty strong.
Me too.
Universal title match, Edge versus Roman Reigns. Yay!
Don't care a lot, but it might be a good match, probably.
It could be good, but Edge's beard is out of control.
Is it?
It just looks like it looks really bushy.
Yeah.
Like, and I just don't.
Old man pandemic beard, man.
He doesn't need to be in the main event. Like, I'm fine with him coming back, good for him, but like, just this. It really doesn't make sense.
I'm fine as long as it's a placeholder until they hopefully push somebody new out of the Money in the Bank match, right?
Or
so that's
turn Rollins face.
I guess maybe.
I'm still waiting for that.
You are.
Or I think Riddle. Riddle. Oh, Riddle Lashley. Riddle Roman Reigns.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Riddle has a bunch of fresh matchups, right? Because he hasn't wrestled everybody 1,000 times. So I'm pretty much up for Riddle against anybody good. Because I just like his style in ring too.
Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking if he wins, like I think either cash-in would be really interesting.
Yeah. What other anything else on that card?
Lashley.
Sorry?
Kingston Lashley. That sounds good.
Okay, that could be good.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that.
I don't either. So and they're both good, so that's fine.
And Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. I don't care.
Again, for the many straight comment. Things? Yeah, I don't care.
Well, they were in that triple threat at Backlash, then they faced off at Hell in a Cell. They've both been acting like children, maybe? I don't know.
The problem, I think, with Charlotte, and I'm on record saying I thought she was going to be the greatest female superstar ever, is that...
She's stale.
She's never exactly. She's kind of like Randy Orton. Heel, face, whatever. She's basically the same thing all the time.
Even like Sasha Banks was a hot babyface in 2016, and Charlotte was the heel. Remember that? That was a great period for both of them. Yeah. And now, like, Sasha Banks is like kind of recovered from that. She was like heel and then kind of like, but I feel like Charlotte's just never like, she had that ill-fated face run in like 2017, 2018, and then that just kind of diminished her, I feel like.
And I just think her, and maybe you can say this about all wrestlers, so maybe it's just my bias because I'm not loving Charlotte lately, but like her matches all feel kind of similar, right? Like there's certain things she's always going to do, which I feel dumb saying because every wrestler does the same stuff every match, but I don't know.
It just seems like more so with her.
It's like, almost, here comes the moonsault to the floor.
Like it's more prevalent.
Yeah.
Like you can, like, obviously every wrestler's going to have like their signatures, moves, and spots, but like I feel like, I know what you're saying.
Right? Like just, I notice it more with her, whatever the reason is.
Right.
Right.
Next, so the MSG return episode of SmackDown, because they always have to know. Oh yeah, they're returning to MSG because that's the
birthplace of whatever. Yeah, it's their favorite venue.
Right. It's been rebranded as Super SmackDown.
Amazing.
It'll feature, I think, rosters or superstars from both rosters, which I mean, okay.
Of course.
Because that's
brand loyalty. We're at a brand war, people.
That's super.
That makes it super.
Maybe it'll be an invasion.
That makes it super.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Because it's not November yet. They can't do invasions yet. It's not
yet.
November.
No.
It's not even October. Like end of October, early November at the very earliest.
That's when it starts.
Right. If at all. If at all. So Impact Wrestling is launching a YouTube membership service.
Good luck.
Right, because well, this is actually like a thing that you can do on YouTube. Like, so you obviously subscribing's free, but now there's like the membership thing. So they're saying it's part fan club, part like subscription service kind of deal. Using that membership thing through YouTube, and there's 2 membership tiers. So level 1, they're calling Impact Insider. Impact Insider, whatever. It's priced at 99 cents per month, so basically $1 a month.
Yeah.
Which that's not bad.
No, I mean, but what do you get?
It gives fans access to loyalty badges that identify them as members, exclusive community posts, and access to the 2-hour flagship Impact TV show each Thursday.
Maybe, but
it's on Twitch.
I find it anyways.
It's on Twitch.
Yeah.
Level 2 and Ultimate, priced at $5 a month, includes all the above, plus access to more exclusive content, including new originals featuring the Good Brothers, Sam Callahan, D'Lo Brown, and X Division champion Josh Alexander, every pay-per-view in company history. Okay.
I mean,
$5 a month for every pay-per-view, right?
Right, but I mean, you can find things if you're resourceful. But I get what they're doing. They have all this stuff anyways, so why not try and get people to pay something for it? It's all gravy.
Access to Impact's Big 4 pay-per-view event, 30 days after they take place, exclusive merchandise. Oh, you're paying to, like, pay for more stuff.
So you get all the pay-per-views, but not till they're a month old.
No, like,
Isn't that
what
you just said? 30 days after?
To Impact's Big 4 pay-per-view event. Oh, event, singular. So that's a event, I guess.
And then what did you say after that, though?
Exclusive merchandise, exclusive live chats with wrestlers, and more.
Wow, more. I'm paying for the more so far.
I mean, that's not the worst thing. It's only like $5 a month. So I mean, if you're a fan of Impact, I think that's a good thing to get if you want.
I just am at a certain age and whatever where everybody is monetizing everything. Like,
yeah, no, that's fair.
So
you should see how many videos I've watched on like YouTube subscription services, like what was it? Jake Paul had one like a while ago. It's called Edfluence. It's basically like, I can show you how to become a famous YouTuber, right. and it was really funny because basically you paid $7 to get like the service. Like, it's got a bunch of videos teaching you stuff or whatever. But you only unlock the first level, and then you gotta pay $57 for the rest of the tiers. And it's like, you can just look this up on YouTube, right. And it's not even a sure thing, right? And I watched another, like, there's so many YouTubers just trying to capitalize on this, like, because they're famous, and like they're just trying to. A lot of them, it's like Jake Paul or like Ace Family, which is like one of those family vlog channels,
right?
That's like, because their audience is so like, it's petites,
the younger folk,
right? And so then it's just gonna be like, and one of the things about the Jake Paul one that was so dirty is so right. The first thing was $7, what you think you're paying to get the whole thing, right? And to get the videos and like be a part of Team 1000, which is like Team 10, but
right,
1,000. And so you get your parents to put in the credit card information. The guy I watched, he was even like, it's just like, oh, it's only $7, right? To like, so then your kid can watch the videos or whatever. And then for the $57 charge, the information's already there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So, but I mean, this isn't that bad. It's not this. It's like, I feel like I kind of went off there.
That's okay. If you got time.
But so yeah, this is good. But like,
because I just like everything. There's all the podcasts I listen to now. Yeah. There's like 2-minute ads, and or then like another one later.
Like.
And one I listen to, they stream it live, and then they put their stuff as a podcast later, right? So they prioritize people who pay in the super chat. So the funny thing is now, because
is that on YouTube? I think the super chat, right?
I think it's Twitch, but same idea.
Or like you donate, and then like you get like.
So their policy is they obviously read those because people paid. The problem is now, like, they're starting to talk about AEW Dynamite. A super chat gets posted, they read it, and it's spoiling the new arrival that happened on Dynamite. And they have to read it because this person paid like $5 to say it. And I just find it. Yeah, like, I don't tune into a wrestling podcast to listen to random comments from people, right? I don't, and that's why this show, we're the ones giving you stuff free, no commercials, no Patreon, no anything. We just are giving you content, right? So as people who are doing that, I get frustrated by all the ads and promo reads and just looking for money off all these podcasts. There's not enough money in the world to support all these podcasters, man. So ours is free. Enjoy it, right? Like, if we ever got sponsorship that made sense, fine, great. But we're still
like ringside. Hit me up, ringside.
Year into this, putting out hours a week, and we're not asking for anything from anyone other than you listen to us and let us know if you like it, right?
And so maybe tell other people.
Sorry, tell somebody else. My soapbox there. Sorry, I'm done.
Yeah, no, it's quite the topic.
Because I started listening to podcasts in like really, really early on, and now everyone I listen to is hitting me for money in some way. Right. Like, oh, you like us? Well, we've got tons more content behind this page. No,
right. I know you were like listening to the one podcast. You like you listen to the things a week late or whatever.
Yeah. Because if I don't pay, so I don't get it released so I have to wait like 4 or 5 days later, which I couldn't care less about. But that's one of the tactics, right? Is you get it sooner if you pay us. But
so let's end the news on a pretty high note, I'll say.
Okay.
Walter versus Ilya Dragunov rematch set for July 22nd.
I saw that's coming.
Yeah. Hell yeah, let's do it.
I've been keeping up with NXT UK, and I was very excited they're going back to that.
I will watch NXT UK just to watch that match again.
Although it's going to be hard to deliver what they did last time.
But it's just I'll even if it's
because that match was almost tough to watch because it was so brutal.
Dragunov like died,
and it's not even like because it was a destroyer through a table or anything.
No,
it was
just like he got hit over and over and over,
and
just got power bombed out of his mind.
One of my favorite matches of the year.
Yeah, that was
for
awesome.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's it.
Anything? That's it for news.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that brings us to the end of our news segment, and we'll transition into our first in-depth review of the week, which is taking a look at NXT. So the Great American Bash starts with Dusty Rhodes' voice talking about the Great American Bash, then some highlights of each of the feuds.
Because it is his creation, correct?
It is, that is correct. And it sort of highlights each of the feuds leading up to the matches on this show. Not a lot of details. It's just one of those intro packages that always looks really good, right? A nice reminder of all the matches and sort of a little bit of what was heading into it. So I thought it was good. I don't know. I didn't have much to say about it. You?
No, yeah, it was good.
So the first thing I said this in my sort of wrap up, is I had to keep reminding myself that this wasn't a takeover, right? Because it almost kind of felt like it, because it's all big matches.
A little bit, yeah.
So the first match we're going to get for the opener is MSK defending their tag team championships against Tommaso Ciampa.
Right, and it was weird because they said they had 3 title matches. I was like, so we got the tag titles, like both tag titles.
Right.
And then the $1 million
title
like,
counts, I guess.
Sure.
Officially now. I don't know how long it'll be around. I don't love it. I don't think we need more belts.
Yeah, and I don't think that like counts as a championship match. And like to say, oh, it's a TV special and we have 3 championship matches, even then that's not that special because like in the past like couple months there's been shows where there's like
they've
been
had
like 5 championship matches in 2 weeks.
Right, there has been.
Right, so.
So this was. There are some championships being defended.
No legit singles titles though.
How prestigious you think the $1 million belt is at this point?
Yeah, there's no like legit singles titles on the line in my opinion.
So we get Thatcher Ciampa versus MSK to start out.
And I think they could have done a Kushida Open challenge. Like,
that would have been fun, probably. Yeah. I mean, they're still limited by the 2 hours, right? So it's not like they can go 2.5 or close to 3. They still had to. I mean, they get a bit of overrun, it seems, lately.
Kick the $1 million thing to next week. I don't care about it.
I like that match, but anyways,
it was good.
We'll get to it. So MSK versus Thatcher and Ciampa for the tag team championships. So this was a fast-paced match. I thought a good choice for an opener, probably. Ciampa and Thatcher, I thought, seemed to assume a bit of the heel role in this, kind of by default, right? Because MSK are definitely very baby-facey. So they sort of were working the heel bit a little bit. The crowd, I don't know if you noticed, but there was pretty much a non-factor. The crowd was pretty dead for this match.
They need to like get an actual like
larger place, or what do you?
Well, because NXT is never that large, but just like there's still that disconnect between this and like Full Sail.
Yeah, because that was like drunken, raging. Like university kids, so they were a super awesome crowd. Glasses. Yeah, they were a great crowd.
Yeah, so like it could still be like similar, but
I just thought the crowd would be. First of all, it's like you haven't been able to do anything for a year and a half. I thought people would be hyped for this opener too, but
if you contrast that to AEW, it's really different. I mean, AEW's in like this week, for example, they're on the road, and well, NXT's never been on the road,
their crowd was
so.
Pretty good.
I think almost maybe the on the road. I wonder what it'd be like if NXT went on the road. I'm honestly.
I don't know.
I'd be kind of curious.
Should be. I guess it varies from city to city too. Like some cities are known for being amazing crowds and some aren't. But,
right.
So this match, it was a stalemate to start basically until there was a springboard corkscrew crossbody by Carter to Ciampa. Then things break down. We get everybody involved, and the synchronized sort of strikes by Ciampa and Thatcher, where they get their opponents seated and they're behind them, raining down strikes, synchronized sort of. Thatcher and Ciampa then isolate Wesley in their corner, make frequent tags. We get a nice running knee from Ciampa included in that. Lee finally lands a nice drop kick to shift the momentum. Carter tags in, dominates Ciampa with a high knee, a punt kick, and a moonsault to Thatcher on the floor as Ciampa runs over Carter with the clothesline on the outside. Thatcher pulls down the ropes. Lee falls to the outside. We get a nice running knee from Ciampa. MSK then double team Thatcher a bit later with a kick and their moonsault shove move for a 1 count. Thatcher then hits a belly to Wes Lee, slaps and a high knee by Ciampa to Carter. Ciampa runs the rope incredibly fast but gets caught by a Carter knee as he's running. Thatcher takes Ciampa out by accident with an uppercut. Lee hits a heel kick and a 619 sort of around the ring post to Thatcher. Some more acrobatics by Lee right into a drop kick from Ciampa and the Project Ciampa, which we are a big fan of, for a 2 count. Then there's an avalanche air raid crash that Carter sort of escapes with a kick. There's a senton by Carter, a twisting splash by Lee, but Thatcher pulls Ciampa out of the ring at the last moment. The finish comes when Thatcher takes out Carter with an uppercut, throws Lee back into the ring. We get the fairy tale ending and an ankle lock, but Lee breaks up the pin, hits an inside cradle on Thatcher for a very sudden victory. What were your thoughts on this opener?
So I thought this was a great opener. I think I really want a takeover rematch because I feel like this could have gone longer, but I don't know if they could have afforded the time.
It was definitely a sudden finish, right?
There's a lot of cool stuff. It was really fast paced, especially towards the end and on MSK's end. Overall, I thought this was like a really good opener, like your ideal opener. I really liked it.
I thought it was a good match as well. A lot of fun. I didn't think it was anything overly special, and I think that's kind of what you're saying is there's more. Like this was good, but these guys could do even more, I think, if they were given a rematch. It did feel like it could have been a bit longer, I think, too. It would have been okay with a title change here as well. I don't think we've talked about it before that MSK need the belts. I do like them, but I don't know if the belts are helping them. But I think the finish is probably setting up some sort of rematch in the future, which I'm okay with. So I did enjoy this match. I thought it was a good opener. I had slightly higher expectations probably, but it feels like there might be another one coming, right? So we then get face-to-face in the ring with Karrion Kross and Johnny Gargano. Regal's there as well. He says that he brought them together to settle things. Gargano tells Kross right away that he sucks and that Johnny's been living rent-free in Kross's head. And Kross is not in his league, and that's why Kross tried to run him over with a car. Gargano goes on to say that Kross knows that Gargano will expose him if they're in the ring. Regal says that their match will be next week. Kross then takes the mic, says that Gargano almost got himself run over by the car last week, so like it's not my fault, you almost got run over sort of thing. Kross says he doesn't only have a size advantage over Gargano, but a stronger conviction, because that is important in a wrestling match, I guess. He's never losing the NXT Championship. He will main event WrestleMania, and he will become a future WWE champion. So he's telling us he's leaving.
Yes.
I guess.
Oh,
right?
and I just found out Shotzi debuted on SmackDown.
She did, eh?
Woo!
Oh, wow.
Let's go.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Kross says it looks
Take
like
her.
Johnny is wearing his wife's jeans at one point. Regal cuts in and said there will be a special guest referee in the Kross versus Gargano match. Boy, I wonder who it could be. Surprise, it's Samoa Joe.
William Regal. Oh.
Gargano's
Samoa
actually
Joe.
really happy about it. He starts to chant Joe's name. Gargano says that while his pants may look like his wife's, Kross can't lace Candice LeRae's boots. Kross tries to get in Gargano's face. Joe gets in between the two to sort of end the segment. What did you think of this?
So I thought that was pretty short. They traded some good lines though. Really bang on Gargano to at least pull something out of Kross.
Hopefully.
And I really thought Great American Bash should be a 2-2-week thing.
Yeah.
But I'll take the match regardless. Like that's what they did last year.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. So, Joe's the ref could make it more interesting. So I mean,
Hopefully,
there's that.
yeah. I thought it was good too, but again, lots of talk of Kross not being good, right? Like, I'm going to expose you in the ring. You can't hang with me. You can't lace my wife's boots. Like, I really don't. I'm not a fan of Kross particularly, but I don't see why this is the route they're going with everybody. Like, you can't wrestle. You can't wrestle.
Right.
It's not good for him, really.
As much as I don't like him.
Right? It's the opposite of what we say you're supposed to do, which is put the other guy over. This is them just taking cheap shots at his perceived lack of ability. I find it a bit strange. It doesn't do Kross any favors. I'm not entirely sure of the heel-face dynamic here. Like, what? Do you know what it is?
Heel.
Is it heel?
Heel versus less heel.
Yeah, I guess so. So I don't know. I'm sure the match will be good. I'm interested in it because it's Johnny Gargano, but outside of that, I'm not super looking forward to it. But again, we think Kross is moving on. What I told you, right? The theory that Nikki Cross had to change her name to make room for another Kross on the main roster. So that could be the case. But anyways,
that will most definitely be. Johnny Gargano
as champion,
yeah, I'll take it.
could be.
I'm
fine with that. We then get a brief hype package for the Grimes LA Knight match. Kushida then cuts a quick promo in English and Japanese, talking about his match with O'Reilly from a few weeks ago and how he's ready to face Diamond Mine down the road, sort of setting up that, I guess. Diamond Mine sort of going after X Division. Cruiserweight division gold. I just watched Impact today. It's fresh in my mind.
That is true.
Although that's no excuse because there was literally nothing involving the X division on Impact.
That's
my
your
fault.
excuse doesn't even work. That's good. That's good.
So the next match we're going to get is for the $1 Million Championships, Grimes versus LA Knight. It's the whole $1 Million Man thing. He had to decide who he was sort of putting his trust in. He put it in LA Knight. It turned out to be a mistake because Knight attacked $1 Million Man. Grimes is sort of defending $1 Million Man's honor here, basically, as the storyline, right?
Yeah, I mean, Grimes is doing good, but I don't love him as a babyface just because, like, he was so good as, like, that cocky kind of hillbilly. And even, like, when he became rich, like, that was good, too. Like, and that as, like, that gimmick as a pure heel lasted, like, a minute.
It did. There is a good crowd reaction for him, I thought, and his "to the moon" catchphrase and gesture, like pointing up to the sky, is sort of catching on a little bit, it seems, so that's something good for him. Grimes starts this match out really quickly, sends Knight to the outside before landing a big kick from the apron, crossbody off the top by Grimes. I thought LA Knight was getting some pretty good heat from the crowd. He's could be a really good heel, actually, because he engages with the crowd as well, right? So they're going to get something back from taunting him, which they generally appreciate. We get an outside-in shoulder tackle by Knight, but it's met with a really nice forearm from Grimes that looked stiff. Standing moonsault by Grimes for 2. An awkward kind of power slam by LA Knight. It looked like he sort of had to recover and save it. It did end up being a power slam. It wasn't super clean, though. We're told we're going to get picture-in-picture. We don't, so we're not quite sure what happened during the commercials, at least up here in Canada. We get the crossbody moonsault move by Grimes that
The following moonsault slam.
That's the one. And honestly, both these guys were just sprinting into that move. It looked really cool. Grimes fires up with a million slaps tonight. There's tonight? Yes, I said tonight. Tonight. It's what I called a pendulum side effect. I didn't know what else to call it by Grimes for a 2 count.
That's not bad. I know what you're talking about. That's not a bad description.
Thank you. Grimes skins the cat, but right into a burning hammer from LA Knight for a 2 count. Knight runs the ropes, hits a superplex for 2. Knight grabs the belt, brings it into the ring. The ref takes it away, leading to a near fall off of that distraction. We get a nice poison rana by Grimes for 2. Then Knight trips Grimes on the apron, hits a DDT from the apron onto the title on the floor, and I thought that looked awesome.
And he looked smart, like sweeping it under after. I'll give him credit. That was a good touch.
It was a really nice move onto the belt, and then he quickly shoves it under.
I didn't even notice it was on the belt at first, but Grimes took it really good.
Really well done. Grimes is back in the ring now, and Knight is Knight is shocked that he was able to get up and get back in the ring and beat the count. We get a kick to the gut and the BFT. And Knight pins Cameron Grimes clean.
What does that stand for?
I'm not sure.
Best.
I don't know.
Fart trash?
Maybe. Anyways,
big fart trash.
What'd you think?
I thought this was actually pretty good. I liked it better than their takeover match, which was odd because that was a ladder match.
Yes.
And so you kind of expect that to be better. You know what I mean? But so most of the good moves came from Grimes, obviously, but Knight got some in, but nowhere near as much. But to his credit, he got some in.
I thought the same thing I'm taking.
Yeah, I remember you said you were
like Grimes,
it's a lot of Grimes,
and
then Knight. But I mean, hey, at least he's like contributing, right?
Yep.
So the result of the match should result in some entertaining segments. It'll probably build to like the SummerSlam takeover where Grimes, I think he'll get out of it.
Right.
Which I don't know how.
I did fail to mention this is now Grimes has to become LA Knight's butler. Yes. Was the stipulation.
Overall this is good though. A little like over delivered for me just because
the word I would use as well.
It beat my expectations.
I agree.
In my defense, I wasn't expecting much.
So I really liked this match, and in the moment as we were taking notes, I thought I might have liked it more than the opener, if I'm being honest, which is definitely over-delivering for me. I think these two kind of have good chemistry together. Grimes did carry much of this match, and he did a great job, but he can do that, right? So that's not a big deal. I thought the finishing sequence looked really good. I think you did too. Which is great because for me, the result was never in doubt. As soon as they made this stipulation, I knew exactly, of course, Grimes is going to be a butler because I was going to say it will be hilarious. They'll think it'll be hilarious, and hopefully it will be. We'll find out, right? So I like that the finishing sequence was still really fun, even though I knew who was going to win. And I just kind of hope that the upcoming segments with Grimes as the butler are entertaining because they definitely can be. So let's find out, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
We then get Mackenzie is speaking to Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai. She asked them about who will win the match tonight. They both go to answer, but Kai then takes over and says she's got it. Kai says she will be walking out as a champion, and Ember is basically a bug that won't die, but they will squash her. Shotzi is a troll doll, and they'll put her back on the shelf as Gonzalez sort of finishes it with for good. What did you think?
So I didn't like the kind of tension.
At the beginning.
That thing, because I don't think it's subtly I think it's subtly hinting at their breakup, and like I don't think that's necessary. I don't think that should happen. And I and they're good together, right? So they said they'll put Shotzi on the shelf for good this time, and I said, are they serious? That's awfully nice of them considering they're heels. But I guess they don't have to worry about that.
No, because she's gone. I thought this was a pretty standard promo. It was fine. I liked the actual hint of issues. I get what you're saying. If this were AEW, I would like it better because I would believe that that'll be a little nugget they'll come back to in like 6 or 8 weeks or something, whereas WWE tends to rush things. But I like the idea of just these, even if we're wrong, right? I like that too, where maybe nothing ever comes of this little moment, and I'm okay with that too. But it adds a little bit of something, right? So I thought that part was good. They can come back to it if they want to in months, in weeks, or not at all, I guess. So decent little promo. I actually liked the first bit the best of it. So all the entrants in the breakout tournament that's going to be starting are now on the stage and they get introduced. So we have Trey Baxter, who I didn't know, Carmelo Hayes, who we do, Andre Chase, Josh Briggs.
No, we know Trey Baxter. He faced Kushida.
Oh, that's right.
Christian.
Josh Briggs, who I reminded you was from Evolve, right? He was the kind of big guy he was wearing like a shoulder brace thing. I don't know if you remember him. Anyways.
No, I don't.
Ikemen Jiro.
Oh, yes, I do.
Joe Gacy, Odyssey Jones, and Duke Hudson.
Which I think that's the Brendan Bink guy.
So,
is it? That's Brendan Bink.
Oh, they repackaged him?
I think so.
Oh, I see. So it'll be Jiro versus Hudson to start the tournament next week. I'm excited. I like new people because I only really know Hayes, Briggs, and Jiro, like seen them a few times at least. So I look forward to some new people and some hopefully good matches, right? Adam Cole, that is shown taping his wrist backstage quickly as he's getting ready. And we get our next match, which is Zoe Stark and Io Shirai versus The Way for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships, right? So this I thought was a competitive, fast-paced match. It didn't really get a lot of time, I think around like 10 minutes, but it provided some good action.
It was pretty short.
It was. Io out-wrestles Indy to start, hits 2 drop kicks. She then hits a missile drop kick to Indy for a 2 count. We get a double vertical suplex to Indy for a 1 count. A stiff back elbow front suplex onto the top rope by Indy to Zoe Stark. Stark then plays the face in peril for a little bit, finally makes the tag, and Io and Candice face off for the first time in this match. So they sort of held off the idea of these two because they have a lot of history. It was sort of a build to them being in the ring together at the same time. We get a flurry by Io, including a 619 and another missile dropkick. There's a double underhook backbreaker by Io with a kick to the face by Stark, which I thought was a nice combo move they can use going forward. As LeRae was upside down before the backbreaker, she gets kicked in the face by Stark. It was kind of cool. Moonsault is missed by Io, and the Gargano escape is applied by Candice. And at the same time, the silencer is hooked in by Indy on Stark.
Which it was kind of.
And they officially called it silencer, right? Which we always thought was better.
They're listening to the pod.
Obviously.
Hey,
why wouldn't they?
NXT push cross up and don't push Reed up because he should say, and also give Adam Cole the towel. Thank you.
There you go. Palm strike by Io, German off the second rope by Candice after some brief interference from Indy. The lights go out and the battery is fully charged. And I made this prediction to you, the day before of who it was going to be.
You heard it or whatever.
It was a rumor I'd heard. And it was Tegan Knox dressed sort of like a 90s grunge person. I used to rock that look in high school a little bit, I'm not going to lie.
You look like Tegan Knox?
Well, the way with the plaid clothes and the 90s look. And you pointed out, because obviously I had forgotten that it was Candice who had in storyline taken her out, right? So this return makes sense in this spot, I guess. So obviously the Way are distracted by this. Stark hits her finishing, like a flipping knee into the knee, and she does it to Indy, and they pick up the win and win the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. So then, who attacks?
Tegan Knox attacks.
Oh, Knox attacks and ends up chasing Candice LeRae to the back. Io and Stark celebrate in the ring. What'd you think of this?
So I thought this was good, but I expected better. I mean, it was pretty short now that we know.
Yeah.
There were some good moments. Stark and Shirai could be the Open Challenge Fighting Champions, although they don't have much competition, so I take it back.
Right.
I was hoping for someone new to come out of the battery thing, but I guess Tegan Knox is good. Cool to see her back. She's pretty tough. That's 3 knee surgeries now.
I'm happy to see her come back because of that, but I was also hoping for something new and exciting. But I'm happy for her. Yep.
Candice was the one who attacked Tegan
right
before the Battle Royal. That was like the write-off for her 3rd injury. So it's nice to see some continuity there, and it's a good comeback feud for Tegan, I think, because Candice LeRae is always good and reliable, right?
That's right.
Overall, good enough match. Cool to see Tegan back, but I was hoping for a debut. And I saw a thing that, now the titles have changed, 4 times in the past 5 months?
Right, nobody gets these belts for long. I thought it was a good match, too. Anything amazing. Indy seems like she's improving quite a bit, actually. Tegan returning is nice, although, like you said, I was hoping for a little bit more exciting reveal, but that's okay. I thought the match had a really nice pace to it. Io and Candice always work well together, and I'm happy for Zoe because she's looked great since arriving in NXT, so having her with a title already is cool. And like you just pointed out,
the lowest title.
these titles have been changing hands fairly rapidly, it seems. We then get a quick Toni Storm promo as she talks to Mackenzie somewhere backstage. She says she's not happy that she won't be getting a title shot anytime soon. She says that Raquel fears her, And when she's asked about Saray's challenge from last week, she says it's cute and Saray may want to match with her, but she's not on Tony's level, so Tony says no to the challenge. What did you think?
She wonders why Raquel is choosing to go out to tag titles when she's around, and the answer is simple. She sucks. She also said that if she and Raquel had a match, then Tony would be champion, and that is absolutely laughable. I will thank her for denying Saray's challenge, though, and sparing me for watching Tony wrestle. Yeah.
Okay, I actually thought she was really good in this promo, and I, as you know and listeners know, I haven't felt that way often about Toni Storm, especially since she's come back to NXT, but I thought she was really believable here, and I liked her delivery and what she was saying, so surprise, surprise, I liked it. We're then shown that Dexter Lumis came to Carry Indy off at the end of the Ways match there, and Beth, I thought, kind of makes a fool of herself, like reacting to it, going on about how much she loves Index or whatever. I don't know. It doesn't interest me.
I don't know anyone that actually loves Index.
Apparently Beth Phoenix really loves it because she was very excited.
Okay, fine. I don't know anyone that matters that loves Index.
Anyone that's not being paid to love it.
Right, and I could not care less about Beth Phoenix's opinion.
We then see that Ashante Adonis, with his fabulous hair, has a DJ booth set up on the stage. He welcomes us to Swerve's, basically it's like a North American title celebration, I guess. B-Fab raps first. I thought she sounded okay, but Top Dollar, like, adding his little things in behind her, I thought were too loud and overpowered.
It was a little too much, and it was a little too frequent, I thought.
Not to sound like a sound nerd, but the mix was like his mic needed to be turned down a bit, and hers needed to be turned up a bit. Then Dollar gets his turn to rap next, and again, I'm not... I listened to a little bit of rap, not a lot, so I think he did fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought he was, like, really fast. He was, like, freestyle, but, like, it was good.
So Swerve goes last.
He was the best.
He was really fast. He kind of seemed out of time with the beat going behind to me a little bit.
I thought he was the best. I thought he was good. I think he's featured in an actual song.
I think he is. Then they all head to the ring, and the song goes on forever, I thought, before just cutting off for a Cole O'Reilly hype package. What did you think of this segment?
I thought this was good. I really liked it. I thought Swerve was the best for sure. And I thought they all did pretty good, but they can't touch Max Caster. And I thought
funny you say that.
Yeah, I thought them singing their theme song though. I thought that was just really cool.
Yeah.
Like I think the segment really it technically served like no purpose, but I just really liked it. And I think this and Hit Row as a whole, it was just really cool.
Yeah, I think these guys have amazing charisma and style and attitude, but I would have much preferred this being a produced segment because I didn't think it sounded that great. I think it would have sounded a lot cooler if they could have like actually produced something, you know what I mean? And not so much live. Again, I'm not a rap connoisseur. I thought that this was just okay. Like you, I think Max Caster sounds better and his stuff is funnier to me. I'm not going to call this a miss, but it's definitely not my favorite Hit Row segment by a long shot. Almost definitely went on for too long, I think. And like you said, right, it didn't really accomplish anything other than give them more exposure, which is great because they're really, really cool. I still love this faction, but I honestly didn't love this segment, if I'm being honest. Mm-hmm. Joe and Regal are then talking to Mackenzie backstage about the night so far. Regal kind of, I thought, awkwardly summarizes everything that's been going on and then says he's looking forward to next week. She asked Joe about the Cross Gargano situation. Joe says he will not do anything to change the outcome of the match, and if not provoked, he won't get involved. What did you think? Just this brief little interaction.
Yeah, it was good, and I also found out that Tegan Knox teamed with Shotzi.
Oh, really?
I don't want them to take her, though.
Who knows? I thought Regal was really wooden and awkward here, and he almost never is, and he didn't say anything of note at all. He's just like, this happened, and then this happened,
yeah,
and then
I always
this
found
happened.
like it's like them reacting to the show, it's just like...
It's awkward.
It's not even them actually reacting, it's just like, it's all scripted.
I thought Joe was fine, and they were just...
It doesn't really work.
Just fill in a couple minutes here before the main event, kind of felt like.
I think they should attack that onto the women's match, because like, they could use all the time they can get.
So we'd get our main event, which I was looking really forward to, and so were you. Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole. And I thought this was a match that started out kind of slowly with a lot of targeting of body parts, and then it sort of picked up as things went on, right? So We get holds and counters to start, and dueling chants are already coming from the crowd. So the crowd I was worried after that opener, like, is this the crowd we're getting? Because I've been looking forward to sort of crowds adding something to these shows, right? So the crowd did come alive. They seem to be into this. Kyle takes control early and is targeting Cole's left arm right away. Cole runs into a high kick, escapes to the floor. Cole then hits a swinging neck breaker on the floor to sort of stop Kyle's momentum. Cole's in control, but he keeps selling his arm along the way. I thought he did a really good job, of course, of selling his arm. Pump kick and a neck breaker by Cole for 2, as Cole is now briefly targeting Kyle's neck, it seems, and I think commentary even tells us that. O'Reilly stops Cole with a knee to the midsection, then a flurry of strikes to drop Cole. We get 2 double underhook takedowns, followed by a third with a release by Kyle as he kind of just chucks Cole across the ring. Backstabber by Cole for 2 a bit later. We can hear Cole taunting Kyle and insulting his wife again. So, of course, that fires O'Reilly up, but he eventually gets kicked off the ropes. Cole rams Kyle's knee repeatedly into the ring post at one point. Then a little later, there's a double clothesline. Both men are down. We get a pump kick by Cole. He follows Kyle to the ropes to cut off the rebound clothesline that O'Reilly does. I thought that was a really nice touch, right? Like, he knows O'Reilly. He knows that's coming. So he follows him in to cut it off.
Right.
We get a dragon screw to Cole in the ropes. Cole is now targeting Kyle's leg and the arm with a sort of a kick exchange. We get a last shot by Cole for 2. Kyle catches a super kick after a nice sequence, hits a high-angle suplex on Cole for a 2 count. We get an armbar, then an inside cradle by Kyle for 2. A figure 4 is applied by Cole after a really nice transition. O'Reilly counters that, then transitions to the heel hook, but Cole gets to the ropes. We get an axe kick followed by a stiff forearm from O'Reilly. Panama Sunrise on the floor by Cole, which looked really good. Back in the ring, but a rope break for Kyle. Super kick, but the rebound clothesline hits this time, followed by a nice brainbuster from O'Reilly.
Yes.
He misses his knee drop, and the last shot by Cole again for a very near fall. Another Panama Sunrise attempt, but it's countered with a kick to the midsection, but Cole gets right back up, hits the Panama Sunrise for the second time, and then another last shot, and Cole picks up the victory over Kyle O'Reilly in the main event. What did you think?
Second week in a row, I type all caps. Let's go.
What did you think?
I also discovered Tony Storm got a vignette on SmackDown.
Nice.
Good day for me.
They're just raiding NXT.
Woo!
Okay.
Yeah, well, they need to
If you could stop yelling directly into the mic, that would be helpful.
So I thought this was great. I thought it started out slow, not in a bad way, as it did kind of build. And I like them both strategically kind of attacking body parts.
Me too.
And they look pretty smart.
Because they both can do, like, a million different things instead of, like, you know what I mean? These guys, if they know a million ways to target that arm. So then I don't mind it at all.
Right. There's the one sequence where they were doing submissions. Cole had such a smooth transition in figure 4, I thought. O'Reilly counters a pretty cool submission. I don't know what it was. I liked the finish as the damage to O'Reilly's leg was an actual factor and showed it actually mattered.
Yes.
And ended up costing him the match when he kicked Cole with the bad leg.
And it took a lot to take Kyle out, so he doesn't look too weak. Right. It took 2 Panama Sunrise, like 3 last shots or whatever.
I'm very happy Cole won, not just because he's my favorite, but also because that means we have to get a third match.
I would think so.
That's very nice.
Yep.
Presumably at the next TakeOver, which I don't think will be too far away. Hopefully we'll get a cool stipulation of some sort. Overall, pretty good main event. I liked it.
Me too. I thought this was an excellent match. Like you said, it built as it went. These guys work really well together, obviously, and this was a physical match. Lots of body part targeting, great storytelling. It's honestly a little bit of a shame that either one had to lose, but it seems like Cole is sort of reascending and Kyle's kind of cooling off a little bit. They can, I guess, keep him on the back burner. He may have had a shot at the top for a little while, it seems. Great main event, and the crowd that I thought was dead to start the show really got into it, so that was nice to see. But yeah, I thought this was an excellent main event. Overall thoughts on this show?
So I thought overall this was a pretty good show. I was looking forward to, and I thought it delivered pretty well.
Yeah, nothing was bad, right? None of the matches were bad.
And like, yeah, and even the $1 million match, like that,
I liked it.
Beat my expectations.
Yep.
Opener's great, just short of awesome. If I had gotten a little more time and like maybe uninterrupted, like I said, TakeOver match.
Yep.
Cross and Gargano's segment was good, almost too short. Dare I say? And if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. Gargano better be able to pull something good out of Cross, and if anyone can, John Gargano can. Joe as the ref should make things a little more interesting. $1 million title match wasn't my favorite match, but it was good and kind of over-delivered for me.
Yep.
I preferred it to the ladder match from TakeOver, and Grimes having to be Knights Butler should be interesting. The Breakout Tournament field looks pretty good. I'm excited for it to start next week. I noticed Hayes got a pretty good reaction, so it seems...
he's looked really good so
right,
far.
he's going to maybe push as a favorite.
Yep.
The women's tag title match is good. Kind of underwhelming, though. It might have actually been my least favorite match of the night, which
I agree.
I would not have said coming into this. Tegan Knox returning is cool. She and Candice should have a good feud, as long as the main roster doesn't keep Tegan.
Right.
Hit Row's title celebration was unique, and I thought it was pretty cool. Still loving that faction.
Yep.
O'Reilly vs. Cole did not disappoint me. And if it had been on TakeOver, I would have expected more, but this is a TV special. And I kind of got my hopes up when O'Reilly Balor 2, because the first one's so good.
Yeah.
And New Year's Evil. Oh, the second one. So I kind of knew what to expect this time, right? So from like a sequel match but this time not on TakeOver. So I definitely enjoyed it. These guys know each other so well, and they have some great chemistry. And just allowing them to just wrestle a straight match was smart. The result was pleasing for me. Hopefully the grudge match is interesting. Overall, a good show. Definitely felt like a TV special to me with numerous big-time matches, which pretty much all delivered, so I'll actually give this an A-. I don't think there was any major low points.
No, and again, I had to keep reminding myself this isn't a takeover, but an episode of NXT, and I need to sort of adjust my expectations somewhat, right? So obviously this was a super wrestling heavy episode of their show, and I thought all of the matches were at least good. So that alone, I think already it's a good episode, right? I really liked the Grimes night match, and the main event I thought was excellent. The opener was fun, and the women's match I thought was at least solid. The Hit Row segment, like I said, I don't think was their best, but they are still really cool. The Joe Regal Cross Gargano segment was good, but the rest was just really short packages and promos without much consequence. I thought Tony Storm had a good one, which was nice to see. But yeah, very easy show to watch, right? With no low card or jobbers or squash matches or anything like that. All solid matches. I had a really good time watching almost all of it, and I also gave it an A- this week.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Very good show. Good job, NXT. All right, so let's move into taking a look at some trivia in our next segment, which is Off the Top of His Head. So last week we focused on one WWE champion, right, in Bobby Lashley. So this week I thought we'd head over to SmackDown and talk about Roman Reigns for a little bit, since he is their champion.
I will kick your butt.
Yeah, well, I put a couple. I'm trying to end with another impossible one, so because I like to end with one you don't know. Ready?
Didn't you try to do that last time?
I did. What is Roman Reigns' real name?
Joe Noi.
I will accept it. It's Joseph, but I'll give it to you.
Whatever.
In what year was Roman Reigns born? Do you know this?
1960.
Correct. 60? He's older than me?
Oh, right. 1987.
1985. Very close.
Poop.
Name as many members of his famous wrestling family as you can.
The Rock.
Correct.
The Usos.
Correct.
Rikishi.
Correct.
Nia Jax.
Not even on there, but correct.
Umaga.
Correct. Think older tag team.
The Wild Samoans.
Correct. You're missing a couple on
High
here.
Chief Peter Maivia.
Correct.
Rocky Johnson.
Oh, and one more.
Does that count?
Not Rocky Johnson. One more. He was in a tag team too. With, who was their manager? Was it Bischoff that brought them in?
Oh. Wait, Umaga?
No.
I already said him.
Rosie.
Rosie is there too?
Yeah, Rosie.
Oh, I did not know that.
I think he's actually Roman's brother, possibly, when I was... Anyways, I can't remember when I was looking this up. What sport was Reigns' specialty in high school and college?
Football.
Correct. Look at you knowing sport ball stuff.
No, I guess.
When he debuted,
if you want to classify it as that.
When he debuted in FCW, what was his name?
Liaki.
Yes, apparently Roman Liaki briefly. Once in NXT, who did Reigns face in his debut match? And I have a hint if you don't know.
Dean Ambrose.
No.
Leo Kruger.
He now wrestles for New Japan and Impact at times.
CJ Parker.
Correct. Now known as Juice Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Roman's first official WWE main roster match earned 4.5 stars from Dave Meltzer. What was the match?
TLC match against King or Ryback and Team Hell No.
Correct.
With the Shield.
So at which pay-per-view and in what year? You already said TLC. Do you know
2012.
what year? 2012 is correct. When Reigns and the Shield debuted in WWE, they denied working for which WWE superstar, even though they would routinely emerge from the crowd to attack the man's adversaries.
CM Punk.
Correct. How many times has Roman Reigns held each of the major WWE championships? So
Is that WWE and
Universal? Correct.
2 Universal, 3 WWE titles.
Correct. How many Royal Rumbles has Roman Reigns won?
1.
What year was that?
2015.
Correct. Who did Reigns face in Hell in a Cell in 2015?
Bray Wyatt.
Correct. I know you know this one, because how many times have you seen it? Which competing faction did Reigns and the Shield defeat at Extreme Rules in 2014?
Evolution.
Correct. How many times have you seen that match?
Is that the one? No, Payback. But
you watched the other one.
Because that's the No Holds Barred one. I think I might have seen that one, but I just know that because this is actually before the one that I love.
Reigns previously held the record for the most eliminations in a Royal Rumble match. What was that number?
12.
Correct. Reigns has headlined how many WrestleManias?
Can I think?
Yeah, you can count them out loud because I have them listed.
Okay, so 2015.
So give me the number of the Mania.
31.
Yes.
32.
Yes.
33.
Yes.
34.
Yes.
And 37.
Correct. So
5.
That is how many?
5.
That's 5. Not only did you know how many, you got the exact WrestleManias. That's gross. 2 more. On October 22nd, Reigns relinquished his title and announced his hiatus on Raw due to what? You don't remember? When he left?
Oh, right, leukemia.
Correct. I was like, okay, we're going to end on this impossible one. Ready?
Okay.
If you know this, then it's over. So he made his first appearance in a video game in 2004. Name the video game.
NFL something?
No, but very close. NCAA football 2005. So like college football.
How's that fair?
Because I was determined to end on one that you wouldn't get right.
That's not fair.
For my own amusement.
How is that nice? That's not nice.
I didn't say it was nice. It's for my amusement. I make the trivia. I want to end with some enjoyment. But anyways, you did obviously.
That's enjoyment.
Obviously.
Sabotage.
Yeah.
How about we quiz you and we'll see how well you do on that, just on simple questions.
I don't claim to have much prowess, trivial knowledge of
stuff.
Well,
I think it just...
Seinfeld, maybe.
It's for my self-amusement.
So you did very well, but you didn't know a couple things. So what do you know, really, I guess?
More than you.
All right,
that's not high bar.
We're going to transition into the next thing, which is you talking about some AEW Dynamite.
That's Road Rager, mother
Road
trucker.
Rager, that's right. Let's do it.
Yeah, and so I've adopted your note method.
Yes, let's see how it goes. So it should be a little bit less on the move-for-move summary and more on the analysis. So go for it.
On the good stuff. And speaking of good stuff, just kidding. Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall, the strap match, that's your opener.
Yes, it is.
They're back to their old stage now.
Yes,
Dynamite, where they got like the 2 Trons.
Yeah.
They got like the
just
light
looks a
thing.
bit more grand, I guess.
And they've actually got a bit of a mini Tron now. Mm-hmm. I remember they used to have like just the light bars or whatever.
Yep.
I remember because you know how they got the little thing up there.
Yep.
I remember they'd like put it down for Cody's entrance, and they'd be like, oh, like
yes.
the thing. And then they got the heel face tunnels. They got the heel face tunnels.
It looked good.
And there's a slight improvement or a slight change with the ramp now going to the ring.
Right.
Which I kind of like that just because it's different.
Yep.
WWE doesn't usually do that.
No,
other
they
than
don't.
NXT Takeover.
Right.
And I just kind of like it as like, because I remember Revolution was like the first time they did that. I think. Other than Daly's Place, and like I remember Hangman like hit a buckshot onto the ramp or whatever. Like just like it allows for other stuff, instead of just having like all to the floor. Like you got
something
like
a little different.
Right. So I like it.
It's like baseball stadiums, the quirky weird ones that have like a different distance walls.
And so they are determined to make this match suck because you have to win by touching all 4 corners, and it has to be consecutively. And they were inconsistent with the consecutiveness.
They were.
I
made a note of it at one point.
So description first, yes?
Yeah.
I'll go in order of
That's what boxes. I do, yep.
Okay, so just a standard strap match, if I'm being honest. Nothing super special. Not much creative use of the strap, and a little slower than most due to the way you have to win.
Right, with having to drag or whatever, get to all 4 corners.
Or walk as slow as possible to allow the other guy to get up.
Commentary tell us when it's not consecutive now and explain it to us. It's just part of my issues with these strap matches.
So no entrance for QT at all. He got introduced while Cody's music was still on.
That is like That's big fight feel for you right there. Like one guy doesn't even get an intro. Well, he does.
Yeah, he's winning. He's
during
winning.
the other guy's theme. So yeah, good
I
luck.
don't know how you can. That's like you can hardly call it an intro.
Good luck to you, QT.
Right. So there's a brief brawl before the bell. And so Cody chokes QT with the strap. Cody gets sent out of the ring, and uses the strap to pull QT into the ropes. I think it was on the apron or on the ramp. I think it was. Scoop slam and a strap whip by Cody. Cody hits QT with the strap when QT went for moonsault, and you did kind of note that like Cody wasn't even really there.
No,
he was just like ready, like he was picking up the strap or whatever, right?
He moonsaulted to the area directly beside Cody, so that Cody could whip him in the stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dustin Rhodes runs out to chase away Aaron Solo. Strap low blow, which was very easy to see coming.
Cody made sure he stood right and stared off into the distance.
Cody was watching the brawl, right? So QT chokes Cody with the strap as he touches all the corners, and Cody's touching behind him.
Right.
And we were like, then isn't that not consecutive?
Because I'm like, wow, that's smart by Cody because he's breaking QT's consecutive, but the ref just kept counting it like QTs were still valid, right? Where I was like,
I guess maybe he wasn't seeing it?
Because it was almost like, here's the first kind of unique creative thing, and it's Cody, and I'm willing to give him credit, and the ref just completely disregards it.
Right.
Because, yeah, he's basically, QT smacks the corner, and then he hits it right after him. So I would think that ends the consecutive, but what do I know?
Yeah. A German suplex by Cody, or QT. QT tries to use the strap to pull Cody into the ring post, but Cody turns it around on him. And, of course, QT has to be busted open, because how could he not be?
He's got to bleed.
It's a Cody Rhodes match.
Somebody's got to bleed in a Rhodes match.
If somebody's not bleeding, then the match will stop, because there's just a lack of blood.
Yep.
The lights go out, which seemed like a weather thing, but... Was it? And it seemed like, and I noticed, like, so then a backbreaker flatliner by QT.
That was kind of nice. I liked.
And so I think QT took advantage really, like, so I think this was planned, and I think that is further proved by later in the show.
Stuff later. Yeah.
But, so I think they were saying, weather and
yeah, at this point, commentary is saying technical difficulties, right?
Right, but QT seemed to take advantage really good, and, like, it seemed too planned.
You were definitely suspicious in the moment.
Right.
Yep.
Cody chokes QT with the strap on the turnbuckles. Cody goes for Frankenstein, but QT counters with a pretty nice avalanche sit-up powerbomb.
I liked it.
And this is where I wish there was pins and submissions, because that would be a pretty nice near fall. QT tags the corners in clearly no hurry, which is one of my complaints. QT ties up Cody, and they call it an avalanche, or like a draping diamond cutter, but it's Tower London,
That's
right?
Yeah. I agree.
QT whips Cody with the strap after touching 3 out of 4 corners, and Cody hulks up and hits a flurry. Strap whips by Cody, which now caused him pain, or QT pain. I think QT should have hulked up. I honestly think that should have happened.
No.
Cody cutter by Cody. QT tries to stop Cody from tagging a corner and gets hit with the mule kick low blow. What a baby face.
Mm-hmm.
And so the finish comes when QT spits at Cody, and then Cody responds with 3 crossroads, and he tags the corners.
Yep, and that's it.
Thoughts?
I thought the crowd was really into this, but if I'm being honest, I was close to bored for parts of this.
Yep.
Partly the build's to blame because I don't care. Partly the competitors because I don't care. Partly the match stipulation because it's one of my least favorite.
Because you don't care?
So I'm not invested enough in the feud to enjoy also a type of match that I generally don't, right? It's just too many things together that I don't enjoy.
Yeah, it's a notoriously meh match with a meh feud.
Like the time it takes to walk around trying to hit all the turnbuckles, the standard like whipping and choking and low blows, commentary having to tell us when the touching is being reset on the turnbuckles and stuff like that. Like QT hit some cool moves before Cody took over, obviously, but like in between those moves, there's just so much uninteresting stuff going on, right? I guess the people there live liked it, but to be fair, again, they've been starved for live entertainment, right? So I would hope that's a hot crowd.
Right.
I can say I tolerated this match, but I didn't really think it was a strong opener. What about you?
Right. Yeah, so I thought this was like, okay, I guess I'm being nice. I didn't really love it. Don't care about the storyline, and there's no real stakes to the match. And one of the generally not great stipulations being added really doesn't help. And then the corner tagging really does create some lulls in the match and looks stupid at times, like when QT's walking at a snail's pace.
Yeah,
to
he
allow
just has
QT
to walk from one
Cody
corner to the other, and he can't.
Right?
do
How
it.
difficult is that? It's like, and the strap's got decent slack too. So
Yeah, it does.
you can't even use that as an excuse. There wasn't much use of the strap that I haven't seen a million times already, and it was kind of annoying that after a bunch of punishment with and without the strap, that Cody just got to no-sell and power through it.
Of course.
The finish was textbook Cody. I'm not surprised at all with the result. I guess this could have been worse, but I'm not really a fan.
His argument will be he made QT look strong because he had to take 3 crossroads. So I put him over, brother.
Yeah.
I made a star tonight, brother.
Brother.
Made a star tonight. Nope.
Brother. So we got one of those earlier today thingies. We got a Sean Spears promo. Spears is the chair shot. Last week was his second best in AEW. I guess referring to the Cody.
Yeah, I guess.
From his debut. Or, like, not his debut, because he was in the
From Nick
Casino
Comoroto's.
What?
When he got hit with the wooden chair.
Oh, yeah. Spears says he took out Guevara because of his ego, and he's like going off, and then his hit with the chair from Guevara,
right?
Who says it's far from over. And I really like this because it was just a quick way to build to a match, and I liked how ironic it was because like Spears he's talking about like saying he's got a big ego as his ego's building, and then he gets hit with the chair, right? Yep. And so I think like that's kind of what happened. I guess there's some karma for you, but I thought that was kind of funny. Like that was a cool touch.
Yeah, I like this quick little segment. It does its job of pushing this story along, right? I assume Spears will lose to Sammy, which makes sense to me because they're AEW. This sounds crazy to WWE, but AEW is making several young stars that are like under 40.
That's dumb. That's kind of stupid,
crazy,
actually.
but they're going to have a whole bunch of them. It sets them up so well for the future.
I don't think they should do that. That just doesn't seem like a good idea.
If you're not over 40 and you haven't wrestled for 20 years, what could you offer us, right?
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 Like that's what I'm saying.
Like Christian, push him to the moon and
Yeah.
hold back Jungle Boy.
Bro, what
and
about
Sammy.
Yo, you gotta push Matt
And
Hardy.
Wardlow
Come on.
and, yep.
Yo, let's push Jake Roberts too.
Yes, for sure.
Totally
One more run.
And Vicky Guerrero for the women's division, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Next we get the Tony Schiavone's in-ring interview with Kenny Omega. Tony takes a moment in disgust when introducing Kenny Omega, and then he pauses for Don Callis, and I was just like, that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
That was cool. So in classic Don Callis fashion, he takes the mic from Tony and tells him to stand in the corner.
This is his new thing. Everyone just takes the mic from Schiavone and sends him away, right? It's kind of funny.
It's like, it's an in-ring interview. No, it's not. Callis says he thinks it's a great time to give Miami a history lesson because he and Kenny have made history over the past few months as You Got Fired chants ring out.
Right.
Referring to Impact Wrestling.
And real men get fired, they don't quit is his comeback.
Yeah,
He's used it on Impact too.
Callis rings off the challengers Omega is defeated. Callis says they collected so many belts they need an entourage to transport them, which I thought was kind of a good line. Callis says he was away for a week and now they have a problem, which is that they have beaten everyone and the crowd responds by chanting Cowboy. Callis says that presents a challenge for a Fight for the Fallen, which is the TV special after the Double Fighter Fest.
Right.
And the crowd just goes hard with the "We Want Hangman" chants.
He is over, man.
Yep.
Is he ever?
Dark Order come out.
As he should be.
Yes, agreed. Evil Uno says he's been listening to Kenny and his weird uncle talk, which I thought was funny. And he has questions for Kenny and says to Callis that the real men are talking. Again, good line. I love everyone burning Callis because, like,
everyone
it's
just
so
automatically
good.
hates him.
Right. I mean, with good reason.
Yep.
Uno asks Kenny why he's ignoring the crowd and why Kenny is so afraid. Omega says Uno seems smart, and Omega asks him a question about Thailand, and then he just cheap shots Uno and gives him the answer, and then the Super Elite Goons attack the Dark Order.
Do you know why? Do you know that joke?
No.
Because the capital of Thailand is Bangkok, and then you punch the guy in the balls. That was like from when I was like, a young child. That's why I was like, really? We used to do that when I was like 10.
That's funny.
Yeah, hilarious. Very like juvenile, like Omega, right? It fits.
So the Super Elite take control, and Hangman's music hits, and the look on Omega's face is absolutely amazing.
Yep.
And the crowd just lost their collective minds. Hangman takes out everyone, and Omega he looks like he's seen a ghost, like as they say, as the cliche goes, when they stare off, and Carl Anderson distracts him, and he gets taken out, which allows Kenny to escape, of course, which I think was smart.
Right.
Do you want to go?
Yeah, one thing is I think Evil Uno is pretty Considering
it comes almost out of nowhere. Like, he's been doing good lately, but like I feel like these past couple of weeks it's just been like, wow.
He's wearing a mask and he still gets a ton of personality across, right? Which is really cool. So this is kind of the exact opposite of the Cody QT feud for me. I care so much about this.
Yeah.
I
love
how
this has been building for like a year at the very least, like over a year.
I love how slowly it's being brought along, as you're saying, and the role of the Dark Order is perfect, I think. I thought this was a really good segment, nudging this story a little bit further. Paige winning the title in front of a hot crowd at a pay-per-view would be insane, and honestly, feels kind of right to me. You've built Omega to this point for a reason, right? So now you can make, like, in my opinion, I think a lot of people's, you can make the next megastar for your company from this build from Omega. Whether it's in the first match or there's another one or whatever, but I think this is like bravo. This has been a great build.
And this story's been building from like, so I'm just looking on AEW's website. They won the tag titles, Omega and Paige, January 21st of last year. So at least it's been building for over a year. Like, that's one hell of a build.
They spend some time kind of out of each other's orbit, and then
it's been on and off building. Like, they've been at least working on it for like a year at least, right?
And this is how you build a megastar, right?
And it's gonna have like probably the payoff of all payoffs. Like,
it can be like the ultimate like babyface chasing the heel and getting his chance, right?
Yeah, it has to be at All Out, I think.
It sets up for a huge win for Paige.
And I think for me, their Full Gear match was good, but it kind of let me down.
Yeah.
And I think that's because they really want the main showdown.
I would think
this is gonna be
This will be the one.
I thought this was a great segment. Again, I thought it was expertly worked. I definitely don't think that the match should take a place at Fight for the Fallen, nor do I think it will. And I'm sure AEW will figure something out. I thought Callis did a great promo as always, and I thought Uno really did a good job again.
Yep.
And after the brawl, I thought the look on Omega's face and Hangman's music hit, I thought it was just like good. Like, Omega's a true professional. Like, it was just awesome. They played it perfectly too, with Hangman plowing through the goons before a quick stare down, and then Omega getting away so that like we can prolong the eventual
they don't actually touch yet.
Actual physical altercation. If they keep doing things like this, they can definitely push it to All Out, which is what I think they need to do.
This is your WrestleMania main event if you're AEW. You know what I mean, right?
I think All Out is their big pay-per-view because like Double or Nothing was their first one, but All Out's kind of like the pseudo All In.
Yep.
Right. It's the same time slot in the year, right? So I think this is like your WrestleMania main event. I agree, so. That kind of thing. And yeah, so that was pretty nice. I think I kind of want to get, if we can get it for like what we did with Double or Nothing, I really probably get it again.
Yep. Yes. We will watch it for sure.
No, but I like want to get it.
I know, I understand.
Yeah. So next we get the Ethan Page and Darby Allin interview with JR. And so JR says he's disgusted by all the career-ending talk, and it's sad. Paige says it's not sad, and maybe the guy deserves it, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe he deserves it. Darby cuts off Paige and says his first year in wrestling was Paige's 12th, and Paige was mad because they were already in the same spot. Darby says Paige was the big fish in a little pond, and Paige is mad that Darby got to AEW first. Paige says if it weren't for him, Darby would still be living in his car, and he plucked Darby from obscurity. Paige says he was meant to be a star and he can't stand a runt kid like Darby making it. And then I thought this was really funny. JR says he has like an uneasy feeling about this, and then Paige is like, good, because you should. I thought that was funny.
Yep. This is the role I like JR in the best. I don't sometimes love him doing commentary, but I think these like interview things are perfect for him. He does a good job. Darby surprised me because he spoke a lot. As soon as these two are on screen, I'm like ready for Paige to say a lot and Darby hardly anything. But Darby said a lot, and I thought he did really well. What he said made sense. I like Paige's rebuttal too. He had the line of like something like everything you said is true, but you skipped a line, which was basically like where I'm the one that made you kind of thing, right? So I thought it was really good. Realistic promos. Each man believes he's right, which is always the best. Darby got to say surprisingly a lot, did a good job. I think Paige will never disappoint us on the mic. The only downside to this little feud, I guess, is that it's Scorpio Sky is on the sidelines big time right now, right? Like, he's a total afterthought.
But I think they can come back as a tag team. He did kind of like get showcased in the early goings when he was like TNT champion and whatever.
But right now it's all Paige involved in a high profile feud, but I like this.
Mm-hmm. This is good. I thought Paige was awesome. Again, he did great, and his gripe with Darby really makes sense if you look at it from his point of view, like the heel logic. If you just have to kind of look through it from that lens, and you can really see where he's coming from. To his credit, I thought Darby actually did really good here as well, and I think that made this another overall good segment.
Mm-hmm. And I like Paige's idea that, like, the coffin match he needs because, what did he say? Like, every time Darby goes to do the coffin drop, he's going to think of him.
Like, right, so like, cool. Just like that kind of psychotic.
It's a nice little nugget to add in there.
Next we get the Pinnacle, which is represented by Wardlow and FTR, versus the Inner Circle, represented by Jake Hager and Santana Ortiz. And the Inner Circle are kind of wearing a more street attire. Like, Hager's just straight up wearing, like, jeans or whatever.
Yep.
Like, this isn't even a street fight. That's the main event. Like, it was kind of weird. But basically, this is like a 6-man tag match fit for TV. There was action all over the place, and everyone got their stuff in. Nothing super crazy, but there's, like, solid stuff throughout. So the notables, there's an immediate takedown and punches by Santana on Dax, as this is kind of like a heated feud kind of building.
Yep.
2 suplexes and a German suplex by Santana, like kind of like 3 amigos, except he hit a German suplex.
Yeah, I thought it looked good.
At the end, step moonsault off of Ortiz by Santana, like that double team move that they always do. Scoop power slam by Cash Wheeler after tagging in. Wardlow tags in, hits Hager's old move, that gut wrench powerbomb, which got him a 2 count. Sit up powerbomb by Ortiz and a kick to the face by Santana. Hager hits a swagger bomb. I'll just call it that because that's. I remember like in 2016, I think that was towards the end of Hager's WWE run. I remember just like I think it was, I don't know if it was in like Royal Rumble or something, but you just I remember you just run in the corner, jump over a guy, and just hit swagger bombs like
always
left and right. Roll through cutter by Santana during the picture break, which was pretty nice. Yeah. Cash temporarily halts a hot tag flurry by Ortiz, who then gets assistance from Hager and Santana. It said Cash is temporarily halts. I think I made a typo.
Probably. Sounds like.
Some clubbing shots, a powerbomb, and a dragon suplex by FTR for 2, which is pretty nice. Yep. Brainbuster by Ortiz. Cash tries to get his feet up on the swagger bomb, but Hager scouts it and gets an ankle lock, which Dax Harwood is able to break up. Hager takes out Dax, and he wants Wardlow, who tags in. They kind of have a Haas strike exchange. And so after FTR broke up an ankle lock that was being applied by Hager, totally distracts the ref, and FTR hit Hager with a smash contraption. Yeah. And Wardlow covers him for the win.
I thought there was some really great tandem offense on both sides of this match. A really good match. I wish it could have even gone a bit longer. The finish was fine, but if I'm going to nitpick for a second, as I like to do, Santana and Ortiz were missing for quite a while at the end. I don't remember anything like super devastating happening to them, but nonetheless, I thought great tag team work. And then honestly, the crowd was pretty into the confrontation between the 2 Hosses, right? As well. So I would love to see an extended program with FTR and Santana and Ortiz.
I think they're definitely going to have
my dream of Santana going solo doesn't happen, I would watch a bunch of matches between those guys. So I thought this was really good. What about you?
So I thought this was good. Not the most interesting match, but I thought it was good. And it was ideal TV tag match, a worthy addition.
Yeah, that's pretty fair assessment, I think. Really good TV tag.
And I think it's a worthy addition to this kind of faction war, this ongoing faction feud.
Right.
It could have gone longer if they wanted to, but it was good for what it was. And there was the brief aftermath where Conan tried to hit Wardlow with the ball sock thing.
The mad ball, they call it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he got chop blocked by Tully, and then the heels ran away.
Right.
Good Brothers package. It was mostly focusing on Anderson.
Sure was.
Anderson says Mox is a problem, and they say Omega was the first IWGP US champ, and it's a shame it's on Mox now. Just because Anderson's going to face Mox for the IWGP US title next week. Anderson says he'll have a glorious return to New Japan as the US champ. They say at Night 1 of Fyter Fest, they'll have to do their favorite thing, which is to beat up John Moxley.
Right.
Which is just the John Cena thing, but with Moxley.
I thought Anderson's motivation, kind of came out of nowhere, right? All of the New Japan stuff. I like it because it's real and it makes sense.
And it's callback to stuff, but it's
never been mentioned before.
It is just because they want it. They're just setting up a match. Because obviously I do like that they're defending this title every now and then, because it's reminding me that this partnership exists, because we're almost at, like, AEW's got full fans. Like,
yes,
we're almost at the point where they can really take advantage of this partnership, which I'm just, there's so many, like, if you bring, like, Kota Ibushi over here,
that would be amazing.
That's Jay White, that's my dream right now. I want that really bad.
Right.
Like, there's so many guys like a Kenny Omega, Shingo Takagi, like, champion versus champion. Like, there's a lot of potential in this partnership, and so this is just kind of like a reminder that before they can really capitalize on it.
Yeah,
like, there's just so much.
It just came out of the blue, but I like that they're attempting to include something to this match, right? So
I'd like Santana Ortiz versus God.
And this could be really good because Anderson removed from Gallows is pretty good. So I thought he did a good job here. It's just suddenly he cares about this stuff, right? And he's never mentioned it before, but that's okay.
And so this is fine because I agree there were some like kind of nitpicks like you were just mentioning, but I'm good with the Mox Anderson match because they're both good, so I think that'll be cool. So next we get the MJF and Chris Jericho face off. This is where MJF will be naming his stipulations for Jericho to have a match with him. The crowd are singing hard, but the camera caught numerous people who have screwed up or don't know the lyrics, which is pretty funny. A fan did try to get in the ring, and obviously MJF made a line about it, which it was pretty funny. MJF says everybody wants a piece of the king of AEW, referring to himself, and that's why they're here. Jericho says he should have let the fan beat up MJF, which I thought was kind of funny. Jericho says MJF knows him, and he'll take on whatever MJF throws at him, and goes into detail on what he's willing to do. MJF says the fans want him rattled up, and it won't happen because he doesn't care what they want. MJF says he used to look up to Jericho, and he followed his career. MJF calls back to what Jericho put Mox through in the build-up to their match, and MJF will do the same, but improve it. MJF says he'll put Jericho through 4 matches that will each have a stipulation, I think, against a member of the Pinnacle each. So that'll be... I
think so, right? I don't know if he was ever clear, but I imagine that's
And then if Jericho wins the 5th, he'll get a match with MJF, and so obviously then that'll mean he'll have to bring in someone else. Jericho accepts and says he'll beat MJF and ruin his life. MJF says it's not over, and he doesn't come from a trash heap like Miami, and the deal isn't done until they shake hands. MJF shouts at Jericho to shake his hand or else the deal's off. Jericho shakes his hand and pulls him into a juice effect. So I thought this was a good segment. I think MJF always cuts a good promo. Jericho was pretty good too. And I assume he's facing the Pinnacle. Wasn't exactly clear, I don't think. And I'm curious what the 5th match is. And so since MJF mentioned what Jericho did with Mox, I'm hoping MJF brings in someone special because against Mox, Jericho brought in Jeff Cobb.
Right.
Oh, that's another good crossover. If Jeff he comes
Cobb?
Back, yeah. I'm interested.
Matanza?
Right, Matanza Cueto.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, and now that there's this quote unquote forbidden door opened, like maybe they can really they can bring in some Kenta again. Bring Kenta.
You never know.
Interested to see what stipulations we'll get. I figure they kind of had to bring back the steel cage because they only used it once, and I think that was even in 2019. So I'd like to see another steel cage match again because I don't remember a ton from the first one.
No. Yeah, I don't know. This dragged for me, if I'm being honest. And again, it ensures...
I liked MJF more.
He didn't even get an introduction, which I thought was weird. He was just kind of there. They didn't introduce him.
He had his entrance.
I don't think he did he?
I remember them playing his theme.
I don't.
Whether they introduced him. I know they.
And then did you get Jericho corrects the crowd? They're chanting Y2J, and he says he's been dead for years. I told you this. He's been dead for years.
Yeah. I caught that.
So this kind of dragged. It also ensures the feud extends for several more weeks as Jericho works his way through Pinnacle or whoever it is, which isn't my favorite thing at this point either. Like, really great delivery by both guys. I'm just not interested in this anymore, really. I think everyone involved needs to sort of move on to something fresh, but it looks like that's not going to happen for a bit.
And I think MJF did say if Jericho loses, he has to leave him alone.
Leave him alone, yes. This could have been shorter, I thought.
Well, it doesn't apply to the rest of the factions, does it?
I just want these guys to move on, basically, at this point.
That's fair.
Yep.
Next, we got a Britt Baker interview. She says she was forced to take part in a match no one wanted to see last week.
True.
That is
ding,
a fact.
Ding.
Baker says it was like, I think she said something like it was like someone in her like cougar manager or whatever, like something like that, and like versus a dentist and her assistant, I think it was, which is kind of funny. Baker says it was at what cost because Reba got injured and Baker got attacked afterwards. Baker says Tony Khan should feel terrible because she brings in millions, and she says TK, she calls them, can enjoy Andrade and maybe AEW can do a show in Saudi Arabia, and I just thought that was such That was a sick burn.
Mm-hmm.
Baker says they called Dallas the Big D, and I called it. She says after she retains, because that's where her match will be, they'll call it the Big DMD.
Right.
It was just a good promo. I thought the Saudi line was awesome.
Yeah, she's really great, but I mean, this feud, like, it feels like it's more about Vicky Guerrero than Nyla at this point, right?
And it's kind of weird in, like, the Cross Gargano thing.
They're not doing their best job, because Nyla seems like an afterthought, basically, at this point. So, I mean, Britt did a great job here. She always does, but I don't think there's any universe where Nyla wins, right? They're not really doing a good job of creating any sort of belief for me. But anyway.
And even if they had built her, I still wouldn't buy it. So they're doing her a further disservice.
And Britt seems to be staying heel, which I want, because I've heard some things about when they go to Pittsburgh for some taping.
Like, just let her get cheered, because, like,
right,
I remember you were saying, like, it's her hometown. That's what happens.
We'll understand that people love her there.
Right. Like, we know she's still heel.
Because heel Britt's where it's at.
Mm-hmm. So next we got Andrade El Idolo's in-ring debut versus Matt Sydal. Andrade does get the star entrance.
But the tearaway suit, no, thank you.
No.
He needs to lose the tearaway suit
Well,
and Vicky
I don't
Guerrero.
mind that as long as the pants are tearaway, but the pants are not. He's wearing awful pants for his ring attire. He basically wore the bottom half of a suit.
Which pants are worst? Worse, sorry, his or
Private Party?
No, Mil Muertes.
See, Mil Muertes, he had actual tights though. Yes, you know what I mean?
But
like,
you hate them. You comment on them every match he has.
Right, because they look like freaking baseball tights. But like these look like those, but like baggy suit
like
pants.
Dress
like
pants.
This is like where it was like he could not have looked worse. Like
I didn't like the tearaway
look
suit.
Wise,
That's
least.
not a star
I thought that was a
for
good
me.
entrance. But,
yeah, he looks cool, but I don't like the suit.
I thought the tearaway suit was a good entrance, but I wish he had taken off the pants too. So I thought this was just a standard enhancement match where the main guy was showcased and the enhancement talent got a reasonable amount of offense before being defeated. So notables, final cut by Andrade, gold dust move.
Right, looked good. A little extra snap on it.
Moonsault by Andrade, where he lands the moonsault off the top rope, like on his feet, and
Sydal rolls away
perfectly. He like scouts in and he hits the standing moonsault.
Looked good.
Standing Phoenix Senton by Sydal, signature move of his.
Mm-hmm.
Andrade counters Sydal's sunset flip into a pin, which is great. I thought that looked good for 1 count. Jumping heel kick by Sydal, and JR still can't say the Andrade El Idolo.
Just stop trying, JR.
Yeah. Roundhouse and a crucifix pin by Sydal for 2. Big lariat by Andrade. Sydal avoids the corner double foot stomp, which, like, that makes sense. Hits a diving meteor for 2, which I thought Andrade was kind of standing there for a little bit too long.
A little awkward.
Running double knees in the corner by Andrade, and the finish comes with a via hammerlock flatliner. I think it was. Or he could have just kind of done a shoddy of the hammerlock DDT, which was his old move.
Seems like a variation of that,
and he kind of, any attacks Sydal with the post-match armbar.
Mm-hmm. I thought this was pretty good. There seemed to be a couple spots of poor communication between the two of them, but even in like a short...
And oh my god, bad attire.
A short, not flawless enhancement match, basically, there's still like a couple wow moments with Andrade, right? Where you're just like, wow, that looks so nice. His offense just looks a little more forceful than most people, kind of along the lines of Pac for me. A decent TV match, but Andrade is capable of a lot more than this for sure. Mm-hmm. So this is nothing for him.
I thought this was a good way to get Andrade started in AEW, because obviously you can't just start boom, right?
No. He's got to start with the gatekeeper, Matt Sydal. That's the new role for him.
And both of them look good in the ring. I mean, because Andrade's ring attire was just truly awful. Like, that, you just don't wear your suit pants, man. Like, just...
Yes.
I think
we'll work on it.
It was like Mil Muertes, like it was at least if he took the suit pants and made them into a wrestling attire.
Right.
At the very least. This is just suit pants.
It was.
So next we got a Christian Cage Matt Hardy package, because that's what I want.
And it's that back and forth style of package that I like, where one guy goes, the other guy goes back. Like, I like that. So that's got going for it already. I know. You're right.
Christian Cage, he says he was always on the winning side on the biggest stage, referring to TLC, because that is true. They won both of the first ones.
Right.
Edge and Christian, that being. Hardy says Cage is everything. He does and goes wherever he goes, which, that's not... I mean, that's kind of true, but... Hardy says Christian broke their pact at Double or Nothing, but I guess, like, I think all they did was form an alliance, so I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, heel logic. Cage says he's here to cement his legacy and not be a friend. Which I feel like that's kind of almost a heel thing. He didn't really say it like a heel, but I feel like you could say that as a heel.
There's a turn coming.
Not that I would care. Hardy says he'll finish Cage at Fyter Fest. Yay, match confirmed. So this is fine, I guess. The vignette style is good, but I don't think this feud earned it.
Right.
So I really couldn't care less.
I actually quite like this. Like, I'm not interested in this feud in 2021, as I've said many times, but I actually thought this package and promo was good.
I thought it was good just because, like, I feel like the style it makes it good. Like,
they both made sense in what they're saying, and something about Christian tonight seemed better to me. Some of like I said, he feels like a soap opera actor where he's just doing a little bit too much and trying a little too hard to look like sincere and whatever when he was talking to Jungle Boy and stuff. But this one, I didn't mind it, actually. I still am not super interested in the match, but like in a vacuum, I thought this package was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Next we get Arn Anderson in the ring with Tony Schiavone for some reason.
And I was immediately like, why? Why is Arn getting time to speak?
I did get spoiled on this,
but
so
it made
I
sense.
knew, but...
You did. You weren't happy.
I was so
Well, I mean,
happy.
you were happy to know with the outcome, but you weren't happy with being spoiled.
Yeah, but
right.
I lost my damn mind.
Right.
Tony says after the wins for Cody and Brock, he's living good, so... Tony says Arn is living good after that, I guess, because...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, didn't Cody technically win both times? Remember? I feel like...
I don't know.
No,
I don't pay attention to
Brock
Cody
did
too much.
Get the win. Arn panders to the crowd, basically, and the lights go out. Ooh.
Yep, so it's not just technical difficulties, I guess.
And we got another debut. Who is it? It's freaking Aleister Black.
Tommy N / whatever
Malachi
name.
Black now.
Yes.
But it's freaking Aleister Black. Let's go. Black mask to Arn Anderson. Cody comes in and eats one as well, and I wrote all caps, "Yeah, eat that, Cody, you smelly turd." Okay. Your thoughts?
Great surprise. I was wondering
I was very
why
happy.
Arn was out there getting a speaking segment, so the reason was perfect.
He got kicked.
I mean, I'm half joking, I guess. It's too bad that Black's going to have to job to Cody to start his AEW career.
No, that cannot happen. If that happens, I quit.
This is I've complained somewhat of AEW signing a lot of WWE guys, but this is what I said, right?
I will never complain about anybody signing Aleister Black.
Remember, my criteria is, can you get the best version of this person for your company?
Yes.
Then the answer is yes. So I think this is a yes.
They're signing Aleister Black and Andrade at the same time. Like, damn.
He's still in his prime. He was underused elsewhere. The only thing that bugged me...
Literally the ideal, like, scenario,
The only thing that bugged me about this was Excalibur explaining that, "Oh, I can tell by the look in his eyes, this is not the same Tommy," like that kind of stuff. You're pushing that narrative.
That's a little weird, but I mean, I guess it's just him trying to cover the name.
They're pushing that narrative too hard right out of the gate.
I would just rather than not acknowledge Tommy End. I think that's better.
You can have Excalibur next week go, "I talked to Tommy End backstage, and it's clearly a different..." That's fine, but to be like, "I can tell by looking at him that he's completely different," like that's lazy WWE stuff because they don't want to show us. They want to just tell us.
If he's gonna, I would just rather oh my god, it's Malachi Black, not, oh, it's Tommy End. Nope, Malachi Black.
Right.
You know.
I was still really happy to see him, but I thought that little bit by Excalibur was pretty lame.
Mm-hmm. So I thought Arn speaking was basically just to get this here, but holy crap, it's Aleister Black. I don't care because it's Aleister Black. He's in AEW.
I have an Aleister Black t-shirt.
Aleister Black in AEW, like Aleister Black.
Oh, I'm excited.
I would rather he be Tommy End, but his name isn't that bad. Like I kind of like it, and it's already going on me.
I don't mind it, but I don't like that it's like we're trying to tie it into his WWE name.
Yeah.
I think they should have just left that behind. But anyways,
but I'm not sure what the whole situation with Tommy End is. So maybe because he did use it in one match in WWE, so maybe they snagged it.
I doubt it, but maybe AEW is doing the same thing and going, "We want control of your name." Like it's an understandable position as the company.
I do think they haven't done it that much, and I can also see like WWE trademarking a lot of stuff. Like they would probably use Andrade Almas if they could.
Yeah,
like
they
Andrade Cien Almas if they could, but So I'm super pumped about this. Like I literally saw a list of like people he could face, like that.
Yeah, but it's going to start with
like,
Cody.
Right, but like Cody's to his credit, he's good in the ring.
Yeah, he is.
And I swear to God, if Black loses, I quit.
You won't quit, but I know you. You'll be mad.
I will punch the TV. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So this is really cool. Like, there's a lot of matches I saw. Like, one does John Moxley. That would be really cool. Like, Andrade. They had one match in NXT, I think. So them and AEW. Like, he has so much there's so much more you can do now, right? Like, just there's so much more creative freedom, like in-ring freedom.
He's
like,
one of the guys
their match style is so different from NXT.
He's
right?
one of the guys I would have picked out of a few that I want in AEW.
His
Andrade and Aleister Black, to be honest.
And I don't think Arn and Cody took it better, but I don't think either of them took Black Mass quite right. So I cannot wait to see just like, oh, imagine if he hit Black Mass on 5.
Yeah, he might.
He would kill him. All right. Next, we got another one of those earlier today things, but it was kind of weird because it was in the ring with the crowd.
And there was some edits and some cuts too, so I don't know if they didn't like parts or it was too long, but there was clearly a few cuts involved.
So it's a Ricky Starks thing. He's got security because he isn't cleared and he doesn't trust Cage. Taz shouts at Starks and basically says this is all unnecessary. Starks says Cage doesn't know the meaning of teammate and he'll do what he feels is necessary. He makes a comment about Cage's wife. And she's the Lucha Underground ring announcer, right?
Yep.
And Cage runs out, of course, takes out the security, of course, and Starks runs off, because, yeah, that's how it goes. And so I thought this was fine. I would have really preferred this, though, as an actual segment, just because, like, the cuts just felt weird, like, I don't know, as if they just didn't want.
I was a little confused, because now...
It was it says it was earlier today, but it was as if it was on the show.
He brings his own security. Taz doesn't like that he brings his own security. Starks doesn't care that Taz doesn't like it. So now Starks has issue with Taz too? Like, you know what I mean? Because Cage is filling that role of the guy that has issues with Taz in the faction. And I thought Starks was supposed to be the guy representing, the loyal guy representing the faction, but now it looks like...
he is, but I think it's like... I don't know, he's kind of like... I don't know, like, he's kind of like the Miz or MJF, where he's just, like,
I guess
that kind of character, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of this. I was a bit confused, and it just seemed odd placement and odd...
I guess, yeah.
Execution, I guess? I don't know.
Next we get, the Bunny and Blade versus Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander.
R.I.P. Orange Cassidy.
Yeah. Statlander got her own jean jacket and sunglasses for the entrance.
Right.
Which... That's kind of odd for an alien. I don't know if that's standard alien behavior.
Blade gets caught with Nux in his knee pad. Gets confiscated by the ref before it starts, right?
I don't know. Is that standard alien behavior? Do we know?
I would imagine there is no standard alien behavior. That's why it's alien.
So I thought this was a pretty standard mixed tag match with a bit of intergender action.
Yeah, a little bit.
Major. Notables: Cassie hits the quote-unquote kicks of doom on Bunny pre-match. Cassie ducks under a lariat and hits a drop kick on Blade, not Bunny, don't worry. Power slam by Blade. Running knee lift and an elongated yell by Bunny, which was like, she hits the knee lift, she's like, ah!
She did really yell.
Okay. Stalling suplex by Statlander, which is pretty impressive.
Like crazy delayed vertical, yeah.
Although I think Allie's like probably pretty good to do that on, right?
So, yeah, for sure.
But like still pretty impressive. Distraction by Blade allows Bunny to take control. Nice fisherman driver for 2 by Statlander. A German suplex by Bunny. 450 splash on Blade by Statlander, but Bunny pulls Cassidy off the pin, which I thought that was pretty impressive again. Statlander had some good spots here.
She's very strong.
Yes. Bunny distracts the ref, and Blade hits Cassie with brass knucks. Blade goes for the pin, but Statlander smartly tagged in, which I thought that was kind of cool.
Right.
And Statlander is able to hit the Big Bang Theory driver on Bunny to get the win.
And she hit a 450 at some point too, right?
Which I said on Blade.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. I didn't really care for this match, if I'm being honest. Statlander looked pretty good at times, but it's just kind of there, this match, right? I'm not sure at this point why I care about any of the people involved in this. And sorry, I'm going to say it, including Orange Cassidy right now a little bit. Like, I just don't really find him very interesting.
He's at one of those low points. I feel like he's like, the Jericho was a high point.
Well, yeah, he's in a match with Bunny and Blade.
A low point, and then like he kind of got built up for Omega, and then like I feel like he's in one of those low points, right?
This was just like kind of felt like the leftovers need a match, so here we go. I don't know. It was fine, I guess. I wasn't a huge fan, obviously.
So I thought this was fine, but I think I was right in not looking forward to this match because it wasn't necessarily bad, but I didn't really care for it, and it wasn't great either.
Yeah.
It wasn't super interesting. Felt like it didn't run long either. And so Jungle Boy gets a thing to commemorate being the first AEW superstar to 50 wins. Dan Lambert from America Top Team, he's in the crowd.
And Impact Wrestling at one point.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And talks about AEW coming to Miami. I'm just gonna recap this because it wasn't great. He just basically doesn't like AEW, and he's just ripping on it. Loves old school wrestling, and Lance Archer hits a blackout on him. Like,
Pretty much.
What was the point?
Yeah, so Lambert cuts a good promo. He really can. But this was just so cheesy, right? Like, AEW is going to give him a live mic, and let him trash their company for 5 minutes, right? And then, like, just the whole pandering, getting the crowd to chant, like, oh, and the biggest thing is this crowd, right? Imploring them to chant AEW, and they do. And then, so he gets no help from his super tough fighters that are at ringside either. Nobody comes in to help him. I thought this was kind of pointless. I hope this isn't an affiliation going forward, because they have enough people. I don't need joining with anyone else at this point. I felt like, I don't know how to say it, but like the tone of this was not AEW at all. This felt like something that would be on like NWA Power or something, and it would be fine there, but it doesn't feel like the creativity or realism or whatever of AEW. I didn't like it. I thought it felt weird, and I just hope that this was a one-off, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't like it. What was the point?
It was just...
It was like they're trying to...
Like, oh, we came and we were told this was this and this sucks.
We
and
weren't
your
even
product
asked to
sucks.
endorse AEW, and he basically was endorsing AEW under the guise of not endorsing AEW.
Right.
But like it was like, psh, okay.
I didn't need it. Put
Fighter
it that
Fest Night 1. What do we got? We got the coffin match: Darby Allin, Ethan Page, Christian Cage versus Matt Hardy, Penelope Ford versus the returning Yuka Sakazaki.
Really?
So that's cool. We hear from Hangman Page. Heck yes, we do. Ricky Starks versus Brian Cage for the World Championship. Censorship.
Yes.
John Moxley versus Carl Anderson for the IWGP US Championship. So that looks pretty good. Nothing super major, I think.
No.
But I could see, I guess, because it's got the stipulation, the coffin match main eventing, if I were to pick out of those.
I would think so.
And then I feel like Mox and Anderson is your ideal opener, I feel like.
Yeah, or they could reverse those two as well. It's possible, I guess. I don't know.
I just feel like they've been working harder with the coffin match.
They
know
have.
What I mean? And so we get to our main event, which I was quite looking forward to this week. The Young Bucks versus Penta and Eddie Kingston for the AEW World Tag Team Championship.
Penta is another guy, rightfully so, who is hugely over with the crowd, right?
Rightfully so, yes. The Bucks are dressed in jean shorts, which I appreciate, because it's a street fight.
And knee pads.
And they're back to their normal looks. They shaved their mustaches.
Yeah, they're only a week of those amazing...
I don't like the mustaches, but they were an awesome heel look.
Were.
They just looked like... That's like what you imagine... If you think of a douche, you probably imagine something like that.
Yep.
Like, it looked so good. And now, poor Kenny Omega is the only one without
he's keeping his Hunter, his Triple H look.
Yeah, Omega's isn't that different, and I like it. I just, like... It looks so bad, but, like, that's the point, right? So that's why I like it so much. But so this was basically just a violent brawl with good weapon use, and I don't think there was much of just the usual boring plunder.
No,
which I think that's like one of your usual complaints, right? Which I understand.
Yep.
And I don't think that was much here, which, to their credit, that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Action was pretty all over the place. It's hard to look away for even a second, which... good time for me to change up the notes.
Exactly.
Right?
You get more time to just watch and enjoy it.
So it was pretty funny. Kingston throws a trash can at them right away. And Knack holds Penta and Kingston in the corner of the barricade for super kicks. But they duck, and Knack takes the hit, because of course he does.
Mm-hmm.
Cutler is in a ring corner. He gets cornered by Penta and Kingston. He's trying to he's spraying cold spray before they even get close to him.
Yeah, he does.
He's just so paranoid.
He's making me laugh these days.
And the Bucks attack with chairs. Penta and Kingston put the chairs to use, including their goring dropkick with the chair. When Kingston went for weapons, I noticed something because he had to lift up 2 aprons. And so what they do for Dark is they put the Dark skirt under the Dynamite skirt, which makes sense. I thought that was an interesting detail.
Yep.
Nick powerbombs Kingston onto an upside down table, which is interesting. So basically just powerbombing him onto a wood board.
Yep.
Which, I mean, that would hurt. So.
Sure.
And then Penta decides to just completely outclass them with the destroyer off of the apron to Matt through a table.
And it was like pretty much perfect,
Matt
right?
took it just absolutely perfectly.
Multiple camera angles, and it looked incredible.
And then Penta tries to block with the trash can, but Nick hits an apron PK, which just it looked cool.
Yep.
Just I always love when they dent the trash can. Just like I love when they get slammed on the trash can, just dents.
The sound and the visual from
it
those
just
is
conforms to their body. It just looks awesome. Kingston gets put through a table during a commercial break. Nick hits a swanton bomb to Kingston, who had a trash can on him for 2, which that's always a cool thing to do, like diving on him with a trash can. Roll up, super kick by Penta and a pair of sling blades. Matt gets super kicked while head standing in the corner, and then he takes a half and half suplex from Kingston and a tornado DDT from Penta. Matt gets put in a sleeper hold, and Nick's kind of like, should he go dive on it? And Matt's like, no, so he 450s the ref, which I thought was just like, all right.
He hit it nicely. Good for the ref.
Good brothers attack, and Penta takes them out with the Tope Con Hilo. Matt tries to hold Pena, for a cold spray from Cutler, and Cole's just like, oh, I didn't mess up. But he gets powerbombed through a table by Kaz, Cutler, that is, which was pretty nice. Penta and Eddie hit the package pile driver spinning back fist combo. There's no ref, and Matt kicks out by the time the new one arrives. Magic Killer to Kaz. Kingston dumps out thumbtacks, and Matt throws some at Kingston's face.
Yes.
Which is pretty sick. A Frankensteiner by Nick to Penta on the tacks, but Kingston breaks the pin. That was just bananas. I was not expecting that. I was expecting like a Spanish fly.
No, it looked good.
It was pretty sick. And the finish was the Bucks put tacks in Kingston's mouth and super kicked him.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of psych would he have to be? Like, Kingston's willing to put tacks in his mouth.
Hey guys, you know what you do at the end? Put tacks in my mouth.
And kick me.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
So I thought this was a great main event. There wasn't boring plunder. They made good use of the weapons and kept me interested and entertained the whole time. There's some pretty crazy stuff and some cool stuff like the table destroyer and the tack spots. Can't really tell which of the two matches I like better. I might have slightly preferred that one from last week, but that's not to understate how much I like this one.
Fair enough. I thought another great match from these four. Just fun, and
it's a good pairing.
So many moments where we like gasp or laugh watching it, right? Just entertaining, which is what we all want
like
out
get
of wrestling.
A reaction, right?
Some will call this overbooked, and I get that, but at the end of the day, I'm entertained.
But that's probably the same people who don't really like AEW. You know what I mean?
Right, like that's the style here, and either you like it or you don't. And I
think if you're an AEW fan, you'll probably enjoy this.
Yes, I think so. Great main event. I'd be fine with a third match to settle this.
Yeah.
And I think.
I mean, I don't know how you can swing that.
I think this is one that should go in a cage to keep all the interference out because it's been Good Brothers and Cutler and Knack and everybody.
I was gonna say how you
so,
guys think about that. That's right. They did win the first one, right?
Right.
Oh yes.
So I would say settle this in a cage would be cool.
All out, because then they can. Oh, that's on pay-per-view.
So what'd you think of the show overall?
That's just. So I'm sorry. That would be just so good.
Right.
Just
I think so.
Because they would get the time.
And it would make sense because there's been a million run-ins and stuff. That
is true.
Yeah.
So I thought the opener was fine. Well, not exactly bad. Not our cup of tea.
No,
not for us. I think I can speak for both of us for that. The Omega Dark Order Hangman segment was awesome. Just one. I think that was superbly booked. Like that's just AEW. That's just them being smart. That's just they know what they're doing and things like that. Uno seems to be a pretty good promo now, and Callis is always really good. Omega's a true professional. He's an all-around great. He's good in the ring. He can tell a story. And just the reaction to Paige, it's something so simple, but just like the shock, just like it's just that was perfect. That's like the thing you had to do. It's just the perfect thing to do in that scenario. The Paige and Darby segment was good. I thought Darby actually did better than expected, which is always good. That's what you want. 6-man tag wasn't anything special, but it was a good match for TV for sure. The MJF and Jericho segment was it was good. I liked MJF's promo probably better because like MJF.
Yep.
Better than some of the past segments in the storyline. Can't say if that's a high bar or not though. Andrade's debut was good, but I really hope he's not committed to that ring attire. Arn in the ring seemed pointless, but it was Aleister Black, so I am not going to say that was pointless, because how could that be pointless? It's Aleister Black, and I'm just so happy about that. Mixed tag match was probably my low point of the show, but still, like, it wasn't terrible, just like it was just there. Pointless, kind of. The main event was great, for sure, the match of the night, and I think I'm gonna give it an A-. I thought this was a really good week, and so, yeah, I'm looking forward to AEW's month of TV specials.
Everything in July is some sort of special, right?
So I thought this was a really good week, the double TV specials.
Wrestling wise, I wasn't a fan of the Cody QT opener or the mixed tag, to be honest. Andrade's debut was okay. The 6-man tag was good, and the main event was excellent. MJF Jericho segment was too long, kind of uneventful, I thought. The Omega Dark Order Page segment was good. Obviously loved seeing the debut of Aleister Black.
Yeah.
The Lambert promo was a miss for me. Baker.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, that was just like, and it just felt like so random, right? Yes. Just like, and why Lance
And I want
Archer?
It to be. I don't want it to be anything going forward, so let that be one random thing that happened.
Yeah.
Baker's promo was good. as was, I thought, the Hardy and Cage video
and sorry,
this week.
I think it will be random because I think he mentioned that Miami or whatever is like that's where top
Right.
teams
So
station.
hopefully if they move out of there.
Right, which I think they are. So
Ricky Stark's promo was fine, but left me somewhat confused. So as I sort of looked back over my list of stuff, this week was a bit of a mixed bag for me, right? But there were a few things I would recommend the main event for sure.
I would even recommend I think the tag match was good.
I'm lower than you. I'm giving it a B, but closer to a B plus than a B minus. There was just a few like the opening match I didn't like, and that's always a huge thing on Dynamite. I love the opener.
That's fair.
The Lambert
I didn't like
segment,
it, but I think there's been like genuinely bad ones.
The Lambert segment was a miss. The MJF Jericho stuff I'm just kind of tired of. So a good show still with some things I would recommend for people to see, but just a B for me this week.
Nice.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of looking at AEW Dynamite, and we will transition next into our any other wrestling business. So I think we'll start out with some Impact talk, and then we'll look at your Rewind match is the order we'll go in, and then anything else you have.
I might talk a bit about SmackDown first, because it was a happy night.
It was. So let's talk about some Impact Wrestling from this week. The show begins with a reminder of Morrissey taking out Eddie Edwards in the parking lot to kill the Edwards-Kojima match last week. Also a little bit of a refresher on the Team Dreamer versus Omega and Good Brothers, where Chris Sabin and Moose basically built their feud in that match, while Omega and the Good Brothers picked up the win. I think they also briefly covered a bit of the Violent by Design stuff going on, but I didn't really make a note of it. Mm-hmm. Then the show opens with Gia talking to Kenny Omega and Don Callis about the contract signing tonight and the unpredictability of one Sami Callihan. Callis insults...
But also the predictability of contract signings.
Yes, for sure. So Callis uses his big words and vocabulary to insult Sami Callihan. He talks about what a big night it is for everyone, and he just hopes that everyone can make it, hint, hint. And he and Kenny sort of exchange a knowing glance. So obviously there's a plan in the works. And this was a really brief segment. Callis was really good. I like that they're trying to create something they can come back to during the show. I like when there's like a thread of something kind of woven throughout the show. So I'm hoping that's what they're doing here. Clearly, there's something planned for Sami. You can tell by the glance they share.
Right.
And you're wondering what it is and will they be able to execute it properly.
Unless you've seen contract signings before. Then you're probably not wondering what it is.
They are pretty standard.
Yeah.
But at least they're trying something here.
Yeah.
So the first match we get is Brian Myers with Sam Beal facing Jake something. So this feud's been built kind of quickly, but I've been a fan of it. Myers is a really good veteran heel, and I do like him with his sort of protege Sam Beal now. And Jake Something's a guy I think they can put some more attention and give more responsibility. I say that all the time. I think he's somebody they could focus on, because for me, he's not somebody I know from another company. They can sort of be like, he's ours kind of deal. And I like when they do that.
Until he leaves.
Until they make him a star and he goes somewhere else.
Right.
There's a quick brawl to start, putting Jake in control. They're out on the floor in this match twice, a couple times, with Jake on offense the first time, Myers the second time, sort of culminating in a suplex on the ramp to Jake Something. You've got Beal getting the odd cheap shot in as the ref is distracted, obviously. Clubbing blows from Jake and then a sit-out powerbomb at one point for a 2 count. Myers drop kicks Jake's knee to sort of take that out and hits a jumping DDT. Top rope elbow drop by Myers for a near fall at one point. Then, not quite out of nowhere, but just suddenly, Jake hits a huge black hole slam and picks up the win here. Myers grabs the mic after and starts to talk like he may apologize or have something nice to say to Jake Something, but obviously that's just a tactic for Beal then to attack Jake from behind. And Myers and Beal sort of beat on Jake until good old Matt Cordona's music hits. He makes the save, ends up hitting a radio silence to Beal to sort of end this interaction. The match I thought was a good Impact TV match. It was quick, but there's already a little bit of a feud here with a clear heel and a face, so I like that. I think Beal is growing in his role as Myers' protege. I kind of like the dynamic, and I like that he now seems to be embracing it, and he's accepted that, yes, I'm going to be the heel protege, and he's kind of taking actions. Because before it was is he buying into Myers? Is he just humoring him? What's going on? So now it seems like, yes, he's a heel. He's listening to the teachings. Cardona returning doesn't do anything for me, really. I'm not a big fan of his, although I think his fit with Impact is probably right. I assume we're going to get a tag match with these 4 next. I'm happy for the exposure for Jake Something and Beal. And I'd like to find out, what those two guys can do. So the more I see them, the happier I am.
They get the esteemed privilege of being involved with the
Matt
Myers,
Cardona, who in theory, right, they're experienced veterans and are not bad in the ring, so they should be able to put on a decent match. But the Cardona, the fact that he's still the same basically, and I hear he's doing amazing things on the indies, and he's got this cool heel character going now. Well, right. I don't see it on this. He's basically Zack Ryder still. But anyways. Gia then asks Deonna Purrazzo backstage what's next for her, since she has left Kimberly and Susan, and also doesn't really seem to have any contenders for her title at this point. Deonna says it's a great question and laughs at the idea that she needed Lee and Susan to become Knockouts champion. She talks about making arms crack and necks compress, and she hasn't seen Lee or Susan do anything for months. I pretty much can confirm that as well. She's going to the ring to issue an open challenge. I thought this was a strong promo, as almost all of hers are. She's really comfortable. And at this point, I mean, I may have to revisit this later in the show. I thought she was leaning sort of take on all comers babyface at this point, right? Like, I'm just an amazing technical wrestler, open challenge, come wrestle me, everyone can have a shot.
I think it's more like I'm the best.
I think later on, I think you're right. So at this point, I'm like, wow, she's really switching from the chicken heel to like the fighting babyface champion, but maybe not. So I still like this promo, but it was a little bit deceptive, I thought. Gia then approaches Sammy backstage. First, I'd like to say, Gia does a ton of stuff, right? She's their main backstage person, and I think she does a really good job in terms of like,
right.
Not that I don't notice her, but that she just sort of fits in, and I think she does a really good job anyway, so long story short. So Sammy's on the phone at first ignoring Gia, but then he does talk to her. She asks him for his thoughts on the contract signing tonight. He talks about it's only 9 days until he can get in the ring with Omega, but then a police officer arrives and arrests Sammy for assault and battery of Don Callis. Sammy yells that he's done nothing wrong as a group of officers are now cuffing him and sort of taking him away. So this is obviously us getting a glimpse into what Don Callis' plan was.
Sammy's that's I'll give them credit. That's a little different.
It's a little different, right? So again, they're back to this story. They can come back to it later and update it. So I love the effort that they're like, we're going to put a storyline and put it throughout this episode, right? I like when companies do that. So Deonna Purrazzo is in the ring for open challenge, and it's accepted by Lady Frost, who I think I mentioned to you. I just saw her for the first time, I think, on NWA Power last week, facing Genocide in... I actually was more impressed.
I've heard of her. I know she's indie.
She's small. She's in really good shape. She kind of has a cool look, and I thought she looked decent in the ring in NWA. So Josh Matthews tells us Lady Frost has worked for both WWE and AEW, which would be in very limited engagements. That's what I assumed. So we get holds encounters. Lady Frost shows off her athleticism early on. Purrazzo sort of taunts her and sarcastically praises her, like, "Oh, great job! You're right. Almost hanging with the best," sort of deal. Lady Frost misses a moonsault. Deonna takes over really quickly, pump kick, some type of like flipping suplex thing, and Deonna pulls Frost up after a 2 count and then applies her armbar and forces Lady Frost to tap out. Deonna then grabs the mic, sarcastically thanks Lady Frost, so my thinking she was leaning babyface is not the case.
Nope.
She talks about being the greatest champion and not even needing to know who her opponent is, right? She can basically...
Okay, so that's why she's facing mystery.
That's right. So then Gail Kim, her music, not that I knew what it was at the time, music hits, and Gail Kim walks out, so I know it's her music. And Deonna sort of sucks up to Gail a little bit, compliments her.
Kind of like the Gargano with Joe.
Yeah,
almost.
But is like, I don't appreciate being interrupted, basically. Gail then returns the favor, compliments Deonna a little bit, says she's not here to talk about the past, but the future, and specifically Slammiversary. Deonna will face a mystery opponent, since Deonna just said she doesn't need to know her opponent, and Gail Kim says that Deonna's world is about to change. So match-wise, basically, I don't know.
Oh, Ruby Riott?
Could be, right?
I'm just trying to think, because
I heard that
like Slammiversary is their ideal time, like the...
Oh, they always hype that anyone could show up. That's basically the point of the show.
That's what happened last year. Remember, like Eric Young and I think Myers.
It's
maybe?
Almost like they schedule it when so WWE's gonna cut a bunch of people, and there are no compete clauses over around here.
Right.
So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm just trying.
Ruby Riott makes a lot of sense.
Mickey James is in NWA.
Right, and I've heard that both of the Iconics are having visa issues and can't work right now.
I also saw that.
So actually, Ruby Riott's a pretty good guess.
Probably Ruby Riott then.
So the match was just a squash. Frost got a little bit of offense in, but nothing really. Deonna then basically got serious, took over, ended it quickly, which I liked. And really, it was a vehicle to get to the segment after, which I thought was good too. It got Gail back on TV in like a sort of authority role, I guess, with the Knockouts division.
Or like almost kind of like Jazz bringing in Rachel Ellering.
Yeah.
Almost like something like that.
Yep, which I've ended up liking Rachel Ellering. So they've created a bit of suspense as to who Deonna's opponent's going to be. Now they just need to like deliver something, right, that's not going to disappoint me. So I don't like not an old star coming back or whatever. Somebody different is what I'm hoping for. We get a flashback moment, and I only mention it.
Maybe someone from AEW?
I almost
finally?
never mention the flashback moments, but I thought right after saying there's a mystery opponent in the Knockouts division, and then they go to a match between Mickie James and Angelina Love from years ago. So I'm wondering, is that a foreshadow?
Maybe it is Mickie James?
Or Angelina Love, because she's around too.
Oh, is she in ROH?
She is, but they're always seem to be open to go elsewhere. So
I'm wondering maybe they'll finally bring in an AEW person. Although so I'd say finally, I meant more like they bring an Impact person to AEW, but like they haven't brought any women's AEW stars yet.
So they could. So I don't know if this is foreshadowing Angelina Love or Mickie James, or just a red herring to sort of mislead us, right? But kind
of like, remember when they were doing the Exalted One thing and Raven was in the crowd?
Yes,
of AEW?
Exactly.
And
so everyone internet talks about that, and then it's not.
Right.
So who knows? Next we get Swingers Palace, hooray!
Yeah, it's your favorite.
It's Alicia talking to the Swingerellas.
Your favorite!
She's got to get in there. And Chris Sabin walks in wondering if the tables are open, and he's told they're not because Swinger isn't even there. So Moose attacks out of nowhere, tells Sabin that the Slammiversary, Sabin will find out why Moose is a wrestling god. So that match has obviously been accepted and going to happen. So this segment, I mean, you know how I feel about Swingers Palace anyways, and it started with Chris Sabin and Alicia reciting scripted dialogue, which, and I'm not trying to be mean, but these are two of the worst people in the company at doing this, so I almost felt like they were trolling me here. It was really quick. At least it was a really quick segment, and it just was to confirm the Moose Sabin match for Slammiversary, which I'm a little interested in because their interaction as partners last week helped me a little bit because they were constantly sort of feuding as partners in that match. We then get highlights of Chris Bay as he sort of made his decision, right, and joined the good guys in the X division as like battle lines are being drawn.
Isn't that kind of weird if he does the finesser gimmick or whatever, right?
Well, he kind of explains it here, which I'm happy with. So Gia talks to Chris Bay about his actions, and Bay said he thought a lot about all of the options, and he did pick a side. He's not friends with any of the others. I like this line. He just picked a side, and they happen to be standing on it, right? So it's like, clearly I can't do this alone because that doesn't make sense. I'm going to get beaten by both sides, so I need to pick a side. I don't happen to like any of you guys, but that's the side I picked, sort of thing, which I like because he's literally positioning himself as a tweener, right? And I'm finding that kind of interesting. So I imagine maybe he's joining the baby faces to turn on them or whatever, but at least he's explaining it like,
or
listen,
just to have an alliance.
I'm not stupid enough to not pick a side, so I picked a side. It just happens to be this one, right? So I kind of like that. We then get Morrissey versus three guys who are going to get killed. Jason Page, Manny Smith, and Deontay Evans.
Manny Smith sounds familiar.
He wrestled last week, I think it was.
Okay.
Morrissey speaks before the match. He wants to show Eddie exactly what will happen to him at Slammiversary. So clotheslines for them all. Then two of them get choked. Corner splashes for each of them. Chokeslam to one. Powerbomb to another. F5 to the last one. He stacks them all up, pins them, and then sort of poses over top of them. 100% squash mats. It kind of reminds me of Ryback. I don't know if you remember, but they used to keep adding jobbers, and he would keep shell shock. Like, started out with one, killed them, shell shocked them. Then started with two, stacked them both up. He ended up shell shocking three guys at one time.
I remember, didn't Andre the Giant have he would have multiple?
Yes, multiple
Braun
people.
Strowman.
So this is them basically going, this is our giant guy, which he is for sure. So I didn't mind the way they used him here. Callis informs us that Sami Callihan assaulted him and he was forced to have him arrested. Callis met with counselors to deal with the trauma he faced even, and he cites other times where Sami has acted violently. Like, basically, this guy has a history of violence.
Wait,
did
Sami attack him earlier in the show or last week?
There's footage, but they were unclear about exactly what it was.
If it's earlier in the show, that's funny. If he took, therapy and whatever all in,
right,
one day.
I guess yeah, that's true. I guess
I'm not sure.
It would almost make it funnier if that's what he's trying to say. Like, I went to get trauma counseling today, basically. So he does show a video as evidence, and I mean, it's clearly staged, right? it's Callis taking one punch from somebody dressed up. You don't see Sammy's face. They're like have a bandana pulled up and a hat on backwards, and it's filmed from the back. So intentionally looking staged, right? Which I thought was kind of funny. Scott D'Amore shows up, apologizes, and says that Sammy has been taken away. So he, as the like authority figure, has to treat this seriously, right? Like if there's an assault and it actually happened. So he's playing it as though like, I'm sorry this happened. We've taken the correct steps. Sammy's been taken away, right? Because an employee's worried about if this is real. He's worried about Callis suing them, right? Because you guys have created an unsafe environment, etc. So D'Amore's playing the appropriate role here. He wants the contract signing to still happen. Callis questions the point, as Sammy will likely be going away for a long time. D'Amore asks Callis to humor him and show up with Kenny anyways. So again, this storyline's back. They've created a little bit of suspense because it's like, is Sammy going to show up? What's going to happen? Like, is this an amazing storyline? Probably not. But it's not bad, and I appreciate them trying to give me something that we can check back in through 2-hour show, right?
Right.
You get Kimberly and Susan versus Rosemary and Havoc in a tag team match. So Lee and Susan are trying to find themselves after they're split from Deonna Purrazzo. Rosemary and Havoc are looking to, my favorite thing in wrestling, build momentum. When you got no other stakes, it's all about momentum. So they're looking to build momentum heading into their knockout tag title match against Fire and Flava at Slammiversary.
Oh wow, there's actually a tag title match. Nice.
There is. Well, there's actually tag teams, kind of, sort of, I guess. They're starting to get a couple. So Rosemary and Havoc each still do their full entrance, and it takes a while. I thought I didn't understand why they both needed, because they both kind of have lengthy entrances, and they just did their
they got those characters
complete entrances back to back. So Kimberly outsmarts Susan at the beginning and basically forces Susan to start the match, because neither of them want to face these monsters, obviously. Rosemary and Havoc dominate Susan, then Havoc no-sell strikes from Kimberly and throws her around the ring a bit.
She's big.
Lee hits some weak-looking kicks after clawing Rosemary's face. Havoc later takes out both with running hip attacks in opposite corners of the ring. We get a spear Russian leg sweep combo by Rosemary and Havoc to pick up the win. I mean, I thought this match was just okay. Neither of these teams do that much for me at the moment. The outcome was never in doubt. It's not like the team that has a title shot's going to lose a TV match to like not very good opponents. And I'm not saying that. I'm mostly saying that because Susan's gimmick is I don't know how to wrestle, right? I don't think Kimberly's great, but I don't think she's terrible either. I just think this division's kind of hurting right now, and they don't really have any other directions to go because they don't really have tag teams. So we get another All About Me segment with Tenille. Caleb is talking about True Legend being on the show, and I thought it was kind of funny because Tenille obviously assumes that Caleb's talking about her because she's the legend. But no, Tenille undersells this week's host, and by saying like some people may have actually heard of her, and it's Jazz comes out. So Jazz asks if this is Piper's Pit. Tenille's starting to get angry. Tenille gives Jazz a question to ask about Tenille and her relationship with Grace and Ellering, but Jazz does not ask it since she doesn't really care. So Caleb asks it instead. Tenille says she's been looking for the perfect partner. It's not her fault if she thought she had chemistry with Ellering, and Jazz came and messed it up. Jazz says she's done and gets up to leave. Tenille says that Jazz is walking away and quitting, just like her wrestling career. Ooh. Jazz then gets in Tenille's face, tells her to say it to her face, but Tenille says that she's just a guest on this show, and she leaves, right? Because the whole gimmick is Tenille's always the guest, and her guest is actually the host. That's so smart. Tenille flipping it, saying, I'm just the guest here, and she leaves. She then shoves Jazz from behind into the camera to end the segment. So I don't know. I still find these segments kind of amusing. Tenille, I think, is at her best in these. Caleb's really good supporting her. Jazz didn't have to do much here, which is probably good because sometimes her acting isn't the best. So I thought this was fine. I don't know what it's going to lead to because Jazz is retired. So I don't know if it's just further with Tenille and Jordan Grace and Ellering somehow, but I guess we'll find out. So after a break, Jordan Grace and Ellering are helping Jazz up off the floor after she'd been shoved by Tenille. Ellering and Grace tell Tenille and Caleb that it's another thing to mess with Jazz, and Tenille and Caleb are garbage. Grace says she and Ellering are back on the same page, and they will face Caleb and Tenille next week. So we're getting an intergender sort of tag match, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. Grace has fought a lot of dudes in the past, so this isn't a big deal for her.
Well, and when they do intergender tags, they usually just like let them they're one of those promotions, right?
Where the man will not get any super strong offense on a woman generally. It'll be like he'll be the comedy guy getting dominated probably.
Or like Tessa Blanchard.
Yes, she was wrestling legit. You're right. Good point. Like she was full on the champion.
The world champion.
Yeah, exactly. So solid promo by both of them here. They seem to be back together, which somewhat disappoints me because I just wanted angry heel Jordan Grace, but it still could happen. It feels it's maybe still under the surface.
Maybe it's a long con.
Which I'm okay with. Recap of Violent by Design blowing up the Rich Swann, Willie Mack versus Falaba and TJP match last week. So Rich Swann and Willie Mack now get a chance to speak about it in the ring. Swann grabs the mic, does most of the talking about Violent by Design's attack last week. He invites them to the ring, but instead Falaba and TJP come out. TJP says he and Ba won't be passed in line for the tag team titles, and Mack and Swann can get behind them. Willie Mack gets a chance to speak. He disagrees with TJP, says that he and Swann should be the ones that get the title shot.
Disagrees with TJP.
And then so just make note of the order of appearance here. Violent by Design, your reigning tag team champions, their music hits, they show up, and they stand opposite the other 4 men in the ring. And then the final music is the Good Brothers music hits, and they come out after the established tag champions, obviously. Anderson does like...
What else do you expect?
They're doing their Good Brothers like preacher style promo that I think they find it hilarious. I just find most of what these guys do self-indulgent and annoying, and this would be included in there. So Gallows says that their priorities are still in Impact and in the tag division, despite them being sort of gone to AEW for times. Whichever teams hold the titles will take a Magic Killer and lose, and then they climb into the ring as well. Then we get Anthem representative Tommy Dreamer comes out and informs all of the wrestlers in the ring of a new 4-way tag match for Slammiversary that he makes right then and there. So in addition, Swann, Diener, Anderson, and TJP will face in a 4-way after the commercial break, and then later on they reveal that the other 4, the bigger competitors, will compete in a singles match next week as well. So I thought this segment was far too long, with the goal of just tacking another match onto Slammiversary and to create a match for tonight, and it looks like next week as well.
Is it for the tag titles, or is it number one contenders match?
No, it's for the titles because VBD's in it as well.
Awesome.
So this segment wasn't super interesting, and it became really predictable, right? As more teams come out, it definitely feels like here comes Teddy Long to go tag team match, right? Like
with The Undertaker.
It's his standard thing. So I feel like the same result could have been accomplished a lot more efficiently than this, but... And then again, why do Good Brothers get the final entrance after the reigning champions? Like, that to me is just a little bit of them like, no, we are coming out last. We're the main eventers here. And that's just me putting this on them, right? Maybe they didn't care. It wasn't their idea, but that's what it feels like to me. I don't care if they're the champions. Right. We get the last intro. So the match starts right away. It is Diener, TJP, Carl Anderson, Rich Swann. So they pair...
Good combo.
They pair off early with Swann and Anderson in the ring, and Diener, TJP kind of outside. The combinations switch up. TJP gets control of Swann briefly. Swann battles back, gets taken out from behind by Diener. So it's lots of that 2 men waiting outside while 2 battle in the ring.
Yeah, which I find kind of annoying when it's like...
It did bug me a bit in this because it's not like they got taken out by a big spot. It's just kind of like they got thrown out of the ring and they're just not coming back kind of thing.
I could see if it's like 3 guys and it's like one guy's like a heel and he's
that's heel logic for sure.
Strategy, but like a lot of it's just
2 of them lingering, not engaging with each other even outside the ring, right? Diener traps TJP's head in the corner, hits a running dropkick from behind. It's hard to explain, but it's actually a really cool looking spot. Senton off the top onto 3 others on the floor by Swann. Anderson appeals to Diener to sort of work together, but Diener quickly attacks Anderson. The pace picks up near the end with all 4 hitting moves in the ring, and then all of them are down briefly. Detonation kick by TJP, but he misses a Mamba Splash. A Diener DDT to Swann, but TJP breaks up that pinfall. So Diener and Anderson end up alone. Diener gets a gun stun and takes the pinfall as Anderson wins, and D'Lo talks about one of my least favorite wrestling tropes, momentum, and now the Good Brothers have all the momentum because, as we know, that's all that matters.
Another match next week.
Momentum, babe. Oh, they could lose the momentum there, but they got to try and keep it next week.
Well, if they were to lose the momentum, no one else has momentum.
It's just
So then, wait, would the momentum be evened out or no?
It would just stop and someone else would pick it up.
Someone would steal the momentum.
It's very WWE main roster thing, right? Because none of their matches have any stakes or any build or any feud. So it's like, it's all about momentum heading into whatever.
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah, that's why, like, when there's a tag match, the 2 singles matches, like, build a momentum to the big match. Or,
exactly.
Like, the 4-way between the people before Money in the Bank. Like,
the momentum championship.
Right.
You need it.
Like, yeah.
Susan and Kimberly are frustrated by losing, but Lee has a backup plan. And Father James Mitchell shows up.
Ugh.
So Susan, sort of, that's implied that she's going to go talk to Father James Mitchell, but she walks away first, leaving Mitchell and Kimber to chat about what she wants him to do. And she says that she has no choice. So the implication here is it's a tease for Father James Mitchell to bring Su Yung back.
Yes.
And despite that probably being some sort of magic, which is not my favorite thing, I am all for Susan being gone and Su Yung coming back. So I will accept a little bit of magic in my Impact if it gets Su Yung back and Susan out of here. So they run down the now updated Slammiversary card. I'm not going to, but maybe we'll talk about it at some point leading up to it. And then some of the action plan for next week as well. We then get what is the final segment of the show, which is not wrestling. It's Omega and Callahan contract signing. So again, this story that's been sort of going along throughout the show will get a resolution here. So Scott D'Amore's in the ring alone with, of course, what do you have for a contract signing? A big table and chairs. Yeah. Absolutely. He didn't expect the challenger to be incarcerated, but he has faith that Sammy will be available for the match, but he won't be there for the signing tonight. He then invites Omega and Callis to come out, and they do. Callis speaks and assumes that there basically is no more match, as this was what he calls strike number 8 for Callahan. So his basic thing is, listen, this guy's going to jail. He's not going to be available to wrestle. D'Amore has Omega sign the contract as Callis is sort of looking it over. Then we get the static. The lights go out. Footage plays again of Sammy's attack on Callis, but this time it's from a different camera kind of behind the other camera, and it keeps rolling. And it turns out that it wasn't Sammy Callahan, shocking, but it was Johnny Bravo pretending to be Sammy. So then Sammy shows up with a bat, but Omega attacks. We get a low blow by Sammy. He hits the package pile driver on Omega. And in the moment, I'm like, he literally hit the package pile driver right beside the table to Omega, but didn't put him through the table. So I'm like, how do we have a contract signing and the table doesn't get broken?
If you're going to follow the contract signing brawl trope, at least put him through the table.
Wait for it. So he package pile drives Omega, signs the contract, places it on Omega's chest, starts to leave, but then comes back to the ring, picks up Omega, and power bombs him through the table. Thank you for following protocols, right?
Yes.
So
I got worried for a second.
The route that Impact took to get to this point was kind of standard and obvious, right? But the final images of Sammy just destroying Omega as Callis is like standing there helpless, I thought were pretty good. It also tied into Sammy's hacker gimmick, which isn't my favorite thing. I was hoping they'd kind of left that behind him. He didn't teleport, though, so I'm okay with it. Him just using his phone to control the lights and right. Tron, that's one thing. The teleportation's another. Right. So he didn't teleport here, so it was okay. I mean, this was probably a little bit predictable, but again, that's not always bad, right? They tried to do something throughout the show, and I don't think it was a fail. I don't think it was the most interesting thing ever, but it wasn't bad. So overall, a decent but not great episode of Impact. In the ring, I enjoyed the Jake something Brian Myers match. Perazo had an effective squash. Morrissey got a squash of 3 enhancement talent. There was an okay knockouts tag match, a pretty good 4-way match, but not really for any stakes other than momentum, obviously. So I would say it was a below average in the ring, at least partly due to what I noticed as I was looking through it, right? No X Division talent on this show other than Bay sort of speaking, right. But like they're the ones I want to watch wrestle every week, and they were absent, so that's a little bit below average for me. Segment-wise, I appreciated, again, the attempt to thread the Omega Callahan story throughout the show. It wasn't original or even that exciting, but it wasn't bad, and it shows effort, which I appreciate.
Right, it's an attempt.
Perazo had a good interview. Swingers Palace was a waste of time, just a moose attack on Sabin. And I thought the All About Me with Tenille and Jazz was entertaining. So I think this perfectly felt like a B- show to me. There was a few interesting things. No in-ring stuff I would tell anyone to go watch. Nothing really that I strongly recommend, but I didn't hate that I had to watch it. So a B- for Impact this week.
Nice.
All right, so you want to talk about your review match first? Or some other stuff first?
Sure, we'll go with the match.
Sure. So what did we watch?
Pro Wrestling Rewind number 20, I believe.
And I'd already forgotten about this match But I guess that's fair because it's pretty old now that I look. You said 2006,
WrestleMania
right?
22 Money in the Bank ladder match, which has Bobby Lashley, Ric Flair for some reason, who's 57,
Right.
Rob Van Dam, Finlay, Shelton Benjamin, and Matt Hardy, and yes, from 2006. And this is only the second Money in the Bank.
So right off the bat, I thought Flair looked really out of place with all these guys. Not that it's just funny to see like a basically 60-year-old man in a ladder match.
He was in TLC match, I think. This year, and he was Intercontinental Champion as well.
Yeah. It also felt like kind of a mid-card Money in the Bank, looking at who was in it, which I'm okay with as mid-card. I love mid-card stuff, right? So I was like, I'd have to think about 2006, but I don't think the star power is like off the charts here, right? But
no.
So I kind of, that's not a minus for me. I kind of like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So notables. Brawl kind of breaks out at the beginning as the crowd is chanting for RVD.
Yes, he's big. He's over at this point.
Roundhouse kick on Lashley by Benjamin, which looked pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
RVD hits like a baseball slide drop kick to Matt Hardy, who's outside holding a ladder.
Yeah,
and
that
then
looked
he
good.
Falls with the slingshot plancha.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Oh yeah, the dive is what I like the best. It was like RVD doesn't care about his own body, right? He's diving onto a ladder onto another guy, which was cool.
Benjamin leans a ladder on the ropes and runs up the ladder to dive onto Lashley, Hardy, and RVD.
Yeah, there's no like.
Nice.
This match is going to start slow and away we go. It's like these guys knew, like, we don't have a lot of time. It was like car crash right away, basically, which was really fun, right?
Right. Matt Hardy superplexes a 57-year-old Ric Flair off of a ladder.
After Flair climbs a ladder nowhere near the briefcase, right? And you're like, what are you doing? And then, yeah, he takes a superplex off the ladder. And then the refs doing the whole fake X thing, right? And get Flair out of there sort of thing.
Right.
Crazy bump for a 57. Like, I don't want to take that in my prime, let alone at 57. So good for him.
RVD hits a drop toe hold onto Benjamin with the ladder on the ground.
Yep.
He goes for a rolling thunder on the ladder, but Benjamin gets out of the way. Benjamin goes for a sunset foot powerbomb on Lashley from the ladder and has to get assistance from Hardy and Finlay. And Finlay batters everyone with the ladder. Flair comes back after being taken away by medics after the superplex. He lights up Hardy and Benjamin with some chops.
His chops still sound amazing, I have to say.
Flair almost grabs the briefcase, but Finlay hits him with the shillelagh, and Flair falls from the top of the ladder.
Another bump for the 57-year-old off pretty close to the top of a big ladder, so good for him.
Yeah, and with all the bleeding, like, taking those bumps, I wouldn't be surprised if he, like... Because Terry Funk's not doing good right now.
No, he is not.
I'm surprised that Flair's not like...
Yeah, he's not quite the hardcore extreme legend,
but, like,
right?
He's
so
still...
He may have saved some
concussions. He wrestled a while.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Dominator by Lashley on Benjamin.
Always looks nice, I think.
Yeah, I like that move. Lashley goes to climb, and RVD hits him with the chair drop kick from the top rope, which is
right.
Side effect from the ladder by Hardy on Finlay.
That looked good too.
5-star frog splash from the tippity top of the ladder by RVD, also on Finlay.
Yes.
RVD's about to grab the briefcase, and Benjamin springboards on the ladder like Montez Ford did, I remember.
Yeah, he just appears on the ladder magically from off screen, basically. It looked awesome.
To fight him, Benjamin moves over to a ladder that was set up next to the ladder they were already on with Matt Hardy, and they're brawling, but RVD uses his foot to push over their ladder, knock them out, and he gets the dub.
Yeah, so, I mean, one thing that I did not like about this match before I talk about what I did like is there were so many replays within the match, especially at the beginning. It was constant, like, screen within a screen of here's replays. Like, just let me watch the match and come to the replays afterwards, you know what I mean? So that bugged me. But other than that, I thought these guys made up for a lack of time and arguably star power, maybe, right? By including spots pretty much right off the bat, right? This was like a car crash the entire time. I found it really fun to watch personally. RVD looked really great in his parts, and the crowd did definitely love him. Everybody was involved in painful looking spots. The Flair injury and return is like an overused thing at this point, but it makes sense. He's 57. He took a superplex off a ladder. He could probably take a break for a few minutes, right? These guys, it felt like they were given 12 minutes to get as much stuff in as they possibly could. And I thought this was a really fun match to watch. Like, not every match needs to be 20 minutes minimum. I just thought it was a really fun sprint. And I actually gave it a pretty high grade, A- from me. I thought that these guys made the absolute most out of the time they were given, because has to be among the shortest Money in the Bank matches, I would think, right?
So this is good. It felt kind of too short for me. I mean, I don't know.
It was a sprint, for sure.
There's some good action, a couple creative spots, but overall, like, nothing major in my opinion. Like,
no, there was no. It was just kind of like non-stop stuff, I thought. Right. Yeah.
This is still really earning the Money in the Bank concept, so as it was the only second one, so cut some slack. It was good, but a little too short, and not my favorite Money in the Bank. I kind of went with a B. Like, I wasn't super high on it. It was good, but I wasn't necessarily fond of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was very short, but I just thought these guys did. And that's a fair point. Like, once there's been years and years of these matches, people sort of know how to work them. And they sort of said that when they started doing battle royals with the Divas and the women's division, because those matches didn't exist, they didn't really know how to take some experience, right? It's a very different kind of match, so they weren't quite comfortable doing it. I thought this was fun, but it's definitely very short, and it was just action-packed sort of thing. But I agree, there was no major like double moonsaults or anything super crazy, but a lot of spots throughout. I enjoyed myself watching it.
So I didn't write anything down, but so Shotzi debuted on SmackDown
with Tegan Nox on the tank, right?
Yes.
So
against the tag champ.
So it's kind of funny because they basically went like, "Wow, we really love your gimmick and stuff, but sorry, Ember Moon, like we're just replacing
I do want them to keep Ember Moon down there because I like her.
Me too.
No, I know what you're saying. I do
but
like
it's just kind of weird, like.
But I would rather them keep Tegan Nox in NXT though, because she just got back, and I feel like she hasn't really had a chance to do anything.
I wonder how Ember feels. It kind of feels like they're now going like, you're just forever NXT, which is fine, and I hope she's fine with it because I'm fine with it. Mm-hmm. Like if they're like Johnny Gargano, you're never leaving NXT, fine, right? Adam Cole, fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me at
Kyle
all.
O'Reilly.
But it just must suck for her to watch like, we really like your gimmick, but we think somebody else can do a better job of it, right?
I almost think Tegan Nox just seemed like a pseudo partner.
Yeah.
Because she just like looked like she usually does.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm hoping Tegan Nox doesn't stick around, because I don't even think it's technically Tegan Nox's debut, because remember the NXT invasion of 2019?
Yes.
I believe she competed on SmackDown, or at least was there.
I feel like Shotzi might have to tone down her style a little bit on main roster.
I don't care, because I don't like her, and I'm not going to watch her.
Fair enough. We won't.
My friend
until she's on a pay-per-view.
My friend who watches the main roster, my American friend actually.
Yeah.
He loves Shotzi and Liv Morgan. And yeah, and so
and you're
like
still friends. That's good.
And he's like, then why, if like, cause I was saying she's not good, and then he's like, why did she get the pin? And I'm like, cause it's her debut, and also it's Natalya and Tamina, like.
And it's scripted. They go, we want you to win. So it's not always based on you're a better in-ring performer.
She's just not good, and
she's okay.
Like, she's a more reckless Jeff Hardy. Like, I feel like Jeff Hardy actually can do some.
I'm not
some
sorry
cool
to see her go. I hope she does well.
No, I'm actually happy to see her go, because be gone.
I've been watching her since her championship wrestling from Hollywood indie days. So
yeah, and so I hope they ruin her.
I was very surprised that she was one WWE picked up.
Yeah, I hope they
But I was also surprised about Zoe Stark, and she's awesome.
And I was also surprisingly disgusted at that first pack. I will never forget that day.
You were,
when you showed me that package, because that was when like I was half watching NXT, because like that was just before we started the pod. I remember you showing me that package.
Was that I was raised by my dad? Was that
that
one?
And like with the tank and like it was the cringiest thing I've ever watched, and I just but I hope they ruin her, because it would be very satisfying.
Oh, I hope she's a massive success, because I don't watch the show and I don't care, and she's a human being, so go ahead, be successful.
No, I think if all of the people like that they've called up from NXT, she's one of the ones that's a success, then that's just stupid.
I think there's a chance, because she's more marketable main roster thing for them.
If she's more of a success over like Riddle or Keith Lee, or like,
they want to target younger folk, and I think that's her appeal.
I think Riddle has appeal though.
Yeah, he probably does.
If she's one of those, like, I just. And, like, they even ruined kind of Asuka. Like, if she's, like, pushed better than Asuka.
Could happen.
That's just.
I don't agree with it, but it definitely could happen.
And then Toni Storm got one of the coming soon packages.
Looks like she's gone, too.
Yeah.
They are really raiding NXT.
Go. Yeah, it's like they looked at the trash bin of the roster.
They looked at people that, like, they're clearly not prioritizing in-ring stuff. They're like, look at this person's look at their character.
Yeah, like Toni Storm has a star entrance, but when that bell rings, it all goes to crap.
Well, I mean, sometimes she hasn't looked the best. I think.
So I'm I already said, but take Karrion Kross next, and then you can have LA Knight. I mean, you can have him too.
For sure.
Let me. Is there anyone else that they could take?
Probably. You dislike many people. I can't think of anyone offhand.
But so I guess Toni Storm, she'll probably have that match with Sarray, and then she's out.
I would think she puts Sarray over, right, and then away she goes, which is fine by me.
Yeah, so that's good. You could take Aaliyah too for jobber fodder.
They won't.
Robert
She's
Stoneman.
a lifer.
Yeah, she's stuck there. Very happy day. Although Cesaro lost again.
Did he?
Yeah, to Rollins, because Rollins qualified.
Of course.
Yeah.
So should we transition into our final segment of the week?
Yeah.
Which is where you're going to tell us what's new in the world of wrestling figures and whatnot, and that is Figuring It Out with Jack.
Yeah. Just that the Unmatched Series 1 is up for pre-order, the AEW figs.
Nice.
Basically just Unrivaled figures, but under a different name, just to get more figures out.
Sure.
We got Kenny Omega, Darby Allin, Dustin Rhodes, Britt Baker, and Miro, and then also an LJ and Cody.
Nice.
But who cares?
The old style rubber ones?
Right.
Nice.
And so the Kenny Omega, we've already seen these. The Kenny Omega looks awesome. It's probably the best Kenny Omega yet.
Yeah.
I think the attire just looks awesome, and the head scan's really good. And speaking of the good attires, Darby Allin's awesome. He's got the kind of tree design, and he's got like the body paint. He looks awesome too. Dustin Rhodes, pretty good actually too. It's the blue gear. Britt Baker, she's getting 2 because she's got the Chase variant.
Nice.
Miro.
Yep.
That's cool. It's him with the blonde hair though when he first came in, which I don't love, but I mean it's a Miro, so I'll take it.
Absolutely.
But I think this is a good set. I think the Omega and Darby Allin are really I'm gonna have to get those. They look really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically just a way for them to get more figures. I think Darby Allin's gonna come with the updated TNT title, and it still looks a little too big, like the faceplate.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, but it's at least the updated one. And then I saw a thing. There's gonna be some San Diego Comic-Con reveals on July 23rd.
So that's your next upcoming, hopefully some big content for you.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's it for figuring.
I'm just gonna go bananas on excitement.
It was a mini Figuring It Out this week.
Yes.
Well, that's going to bring us to the end of episode 51, I guess. Thanks, as always, see, there it is, as always. Why do I say as always so much?
I don't know.
That's really annoying, but
it's all right.
Thanks for checking us out. We always appreciate, there's a variation, right? Anytime you're willing to put in listening to us talk about wrestling. I'll be back on Monday probably to talk about some ROH again, as I tend to do. There might be, I don't know if there's any, we're going to watch ROH. I don't know if we'll do a podcast about it or not.
Pay-per-view, yeah. And so
it's possible.
We'll have our 52nd episode next week.
That's right, 1 year.
Will be 1 year. And then for our little 1 year special thingy-majiggy, I've concocted a little idea. We're going to we're going to each come up with a few discussion topics, and we'll just
talk about it.
Talk about stuff instead of having to review something or just...
It's just some thoughts on the current state of wrestling, maybe or some stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll come up with some stuff, and so that'll probably come out around episode 52 if we can.
Yeah, just more
probably
of us
brainstorm throughout the week.
Just more of us having some wrestling conversations rather than formally reviewing stuff.
That's the general concept, right?
So if you like listening to us, it'll be sort of more of a free flowing conversation.
Keep an eye out for that. It should be fun for us.
So I don't know, I guess we could wrap up. I don't have anything else to add. So again, we'd love to hear from you. Any comments, criticisms, suggestions, whatever. Feel free to contact us.
If you want to put in a topic, we'll do that. I'm down.
So just let us know, and we will see you when we see you, as soon as we put out some more content, I imagine. You'll find it wherever you're listening to this.
Yeah.
And until then, take care.
Peace out, duders.